do that. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know why it does that or why it did that. But thank you, Matt Landrum, for giving me a heads up. This would have been a long fucking show for you guys. But hey, I mean, the audience seemed to grow. More and more people jumped in, so I appreciate it. But yeah, just discard that first 10 minutes. I don't even remember what the hell I was talking about. I was talking about getting older and uglier, and um, I don't know, what else was I talking about? I don't know. It doesn't matter now. But just use your imaginations. Um, anyway, let's go back. Let's go back here. Robert Harvard's the second. What's up, man? Alpha Romero, looking forward to the stream tonight. Great topic, by the way. Don't know your real name. Are you willing to share that information? As I was saying a moment ago, but now that you guys can hear me, my real name is Michael. So that's my shoot name. It would be awesome if my name was Alpha Romero, and I was like the great nephew of George Romero, or something like that. I've actually had people ask me that. So interesting enough, no. But no, my real name is Michael. We're formally acquainted with everybody. How you doing, guys? But always good to have you in here, Robert. Will Phelps, once again. Hope you have a great show. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate which I was talking about before. It's weird. I have to go back and repeat myself on some shit, but we'll get through it. But luckily, I only got 10 minutes in. If thank God Matt called me and let me know that nobody could hear me. But no, it was great last week. The discussion with Will and Matt, Larry, Uncle Bill jumping on for a while, Synth jumping in and out as he's traveling through the West Coast from restaurants and weddings and all kinds of shit. And Paul and Grande, of course. I mean, it was a fun conversation. Fun time having those guys on. And Uncle Bill, for one, I mean, he hopped on for like the first hour, and then he had to jump off and go do his own thing on his own channel and did another like 3-hour stream. So that's a pro's pro. He's the fucking MVP. Love Uncle Bill. He's welcome back on this channel anytime. But yeah, my apologies last week too. I was saying this as well. Tell the guys, everybody in the comments. I'm usually pretty good about trying to keep up with the comments and getting to everybody, but it's really tough sometimes when you got that many people on one stream and the conversation's flowing and going from one person to another to kind of jump in. So I was kind of having to pick and choose. So I hope you guys weren't offended by that. I wasn't ignoring you on purpose. I was watching you guys. So let's see here. Sean Skowski, what's up, man? Good to see you in here. Matt, good to see you in here as well, and good to hear from you as well. Thank you so much for the heads up, man. You're the man. Bonnie Bailey, what's up, Bonnie? Good to see you as always. Glad you're hopping in with us tonight. The man himself, Synth Addict, what's going on, brother? I got a lot of folks in here. Brett, what's up, man? 1911 Guitar Dude. Good evening, everyone. What a cool remix from the Dawn Goblin for the opening. Yeah, I love that remix. I found it on YouTube somewhere. I can't remember the name of the band or the channel that does it. But it's basically a big medley of like the Dawn of the Dead theme and the and the zombie, the two tracks. It's like one big long thing. It's pretty damn cool. All right, now here we get to the point of the comments where everybody's telling me that I'm muted. Grande, what's up, man? Muted, buddy. Good to see Grande in here as always. Yeah, here we go. Everybody's in a panic in the chat here, so I'm gonna skip over this. Face emoting. Hey, I mean, face is emoting, but we hear nothing. Hey, at least I'm trying to emote. I'm emoting emotions, so that's a good thing. Granny saying, I bet he's insulting my mother. Well, now that you didn't hear it, I'm not going to go back and incriminate myself. But your mother's a very, very fine lady, and she raised a hell of a boy, and I'll always love her for that. I'll always love her for that. Mayor, dude, you're muted. I know, man. I appreciate you stopping in, man. I hope everybody can hear me now. Look at the stream. You're muted. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Synth, I think you got to hear. That's funny as shit because that's actually what I was talking about before. As I was muted, I was talking about going to get a haircut and realizing that I'm getting old and falling apart. Like I said while I was muted, my birthday is next month. I'm going to be 36 years old. I'm creeping towards 40, which is insane. I don't feel like I'm 36 years old, which I guess is a good thing. It would, be like, oh, I feel like an old fuck. But no, I went and got my hair cut the other day, and I was sitting there, and the lady was cutting my hair, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm looking at myself in the mirror, and I'm seeing all this gray hair falling into my lap, and all of a sudden I'm looking, and of course they got the light on the top of your head, and I'm looking, I'm like, holy shit, like my hair is really starting to thin out up top here a little bit. So I don't know, it was just a rude awakening knowing I'm turning 36 next month, and I'm starting to look it. It's scary. But hey, good job on you to pick that out of whatever the hell I was talking about. Good job. Sean saying he's telling us he never liked Romero and that we're all lame losers. Well, no, I can't even joke about that. I wouldn't dare. Uh, Waiting for this. Yeah, luckily, like shout out to Matt. Or this would still be muted right now because I wouldn't even pay attention to it. Please repeat everything you said about post ever. I got you, brother. I got you. Um, Steven Fernandez, what's up, man? Hope you can hear me now. Can you hear me now? All right. Am I okay? I think we're at the point now in the comments where you guys can hear me now. There you go. Grande with a yay. A yeah. We hear you. All right. Just start over, brother. Well, I don't even remember what the hell I talked about at the beginning. It's usual. Hey, how you doing? Oh, I think I even went, professional YouTuber and went with the whole like, subscribe, and all that fun jazz at first. So yeah. All right. Let's see. Here we go. I appreciate it. Motion was there, just no audio. So yeah, just take my emotion as something. Uh, Robert saying out of all the streams I listen to and watch, you're the best at replying to people. Well, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I try to because I'm a big YouTube fan too. That's why I started doing this. I'm a huge fan of like Dead Pit, Born to Be Rad, Grande, of course, and that's part of the fun of it is just the interaction. That's one of the big reasons I even started doing a channel is just meeting guys like you, Robert, and interacting with like-minded folks and talking about this. Um, Talking about stuff you love and stuff you want to talk about. But yeah, I appreciate that, man. I really do. Matt, how I wait until you hit 40, shit really starts falling apart. You're not 40, are you, Matt? You look fucking. You and Will both. Y'all are some youthful looking fucking 40-year-olds. Good for you. Good for you. Robert said I'm 47 in November. Yeah, I mean, it's like what Tom Petty said. It's like if you're not getting older, you're already dead. So embrace it. Did I do a haircut pantomime? Did I do a snip, snip, snip or something like that? Or did you just see me like and then pointing at my hair and like, hey, look at this fucking shit? Mayor saying, wait till you hit 60. Hey, 60 is like the new 40. I see people all the time. They're like, oh, I'm turning 60. And I'm like, really? I think that's the good thing about technology and evolution of that, of personal care products or whatever the fuck. I think it keeps us a little more youthful than we used to be. Because like I was saying earlier when I was muted, like I look back at like I try to think like when my parents were in their mid 30s, I was a teenager already. Like that's crazy to think. Like I have a soon to be 4-year-old, and that's already crazy to think for me. But I was thinking like my parents, I was already a teenager when my parents were in their mid 30s, and my parents were to me, they just seemed like older people. I don't know. Like my dad was in, just the NASCAR t-shirt and the jorts and, that, yeah. he was a dedicated dad. And here I am looking like an indie fuckboy or something like that. I always got my flannel and my fucking Doc Martens and shit. I'm still clinging to my 20s. What can I say? 36 nothing. You're still. I appreciate you saying that, Sam. I'm trying to stay as useful as I can. Grant said you look great. Your hair is thicker than mine. I'm 27. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it's a genetic thing, but you pull it up. You look like a baby, Grande. You got that little baby face going on. And everything. I've always had like kind of a baby face kind of like if I don't have facial hair going on, it's very like moon pie baby face going on here. So I got to have something. That's why I kept the stash just to kind of break up the monotony of my face. Robert says you are the best stream. Fuck dead. Oh, come on. Fuck Dead Pit and CHH. Come on, brother. We don't do that here. We don't say that. Now, both of those guys, Dead Pit, CHH, all good guys in my book. They've done nothing but Dead Pit especially done nothing but supported me and inspired me from day one. So um, big 4-0. No way. That's crazy. See, even Grande's shocked. I'm shocked Matt's 40. That's insane. It's fucking silver foxes. Got some silver foxes in the house tonight, guys. Styling and profile. That's right. Matt's getting his ego stroked tonight. But hey, you deserve it. Matt saved the show tonight, so everybody stroke Matt's ego as much as you can. Just stroke the shit out of it. Um, he deserves it tonight. Uh, I don't know, how old are you, Synth? You're not that old, are you, man? That's all right. That's all right. My viewership tends to skew older because I only talk about mostly older shit. Like, there's not a lot of 20-year-old TikTok viewers that are interested in talking about Season of the Witch or something like or Dawn of the Dead even. They're like, oh, I love Ving Rhames. It's like, all right. Does King love those guys? Yeah, okay, good. I just want to clear the air there. I don't want to get you in any heat because man, the Dead Pit boys can cut a promo. Let me tell you. Since just turned 55. Well, I think the mayor said he's like 60 in his 60s. So, well, yeah, you're not quite there, Synth. Not quite. Repping the WGON mug, best TV station out there. John Bulo, what's up, man? The private detective. I don't know, what would you call it? Gumshoe or sleuth? Man's finding out everything there is to find out about Night of the Living Dead, and he's the man for it. So glad to see you in here as always, John. I appreciate it. And I want to get you on here, man. I want to get you on here and we can talk about, some of the process that you go through and some of the discoveries that you've made. I know you're probably holding out. I'm sure you have plans for all that, and I'm sure there are plans in motion for all that with Jim and Image 10 and everything. But when you can, if you want to come on here and break a little bit of what you've covered, I'd be super super into that. That's right, great detective. John, sure may not be it may not be that exciting. I mean, it is for me. I think the people that are hanging out with me on a Saturday night, ready to talk about fucking, old DVDs and VHS tapes of Dawn of the Dead and whatnot. I think they find it interesting too because I mean a lot of that stuff is stuff that I mean 56 years now, stuff lost to time that nobody's been able to figure out or discover or really put in the time or effort maybe to even discover. I find that hard to believe. Like I know people that are as obsessed with Night of the Living Dead, Romero is in general as guys like me and you, um, but your thirst for knowledge, I think is fucking admirable, and I appreciate it because if people like John, Larry, and those cats aren't putting in the time and effort to figure this stuff out and let other fans like us know, um, especially like when it comes to locations and discovering people like Sharon Carroll and getting her to a Living Dead weekend, and getting to meet her, and it was just so cool just to see how excited she was to be there, and so just kind of floored by everything. She was just she had no idea, and I love that thought that there are people out there that so many people are interested in and want to meet, want to talk to, and they just have no idea. They're just it's something I did years ago, but there's people out there that are like, I'll pay you to sign my poster. And you're just like, what? So that's always exciting to me is discovering new people and bringing new people into the fold, and so that's always exciting for me. But anywho, I was just bothering someone today that may hold the key to 5 names that I need. Ooh, interesting. Kind of what were you bugging Russ again, Russ Striner? Apparently, you guys have had some good communication here lately. I guess if anybody, I mean, that'd be the guy to know him, Gary. I mean, those guys are usually the guys to go to figure all that stuff. I don't know how much John Russo remembers. I'm sure he remembers a lot, but I mean, when it comes to Russo, it's like, what do you believe? What do you don't? You know what I mean? Because Russo, I mean, he can spin a tale, and he can what's the saying? I love him to death. I'm not shitting on him, but uh, oh, what's the saying? It's never let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's kind of kind of fitting, I think. Um, see, pretty free, so you send me a message. I'll play on. Hell yeah, man! I'll shoot you a message after the show, or maybe tomorrow, or something like that. But yeah, definitely love to get you on, brother. We got dogs barking and shit going on down there. Well, John Russo said someone wasn't in the film, and an old email told me not him, don't know him. Then the guy's two sons said it was him. So yeah, I mean, I just figure, like John Russo. I mean, of course he hangs his hat on Night of the Living Dead, and of course, but I mean, he's constantly working on stuff, and always he seems like a kind of guy that would forget more because he's always working on something else, moving on to a next project, which is admirable. I mean, that's kind of what you kind of want in a filmmaker or an artist, that you always looking forward. Like George was like that. Um, George would talk about his old stuff, but he was always looking forward. He wanted to focus on what was next. Especially after like Survival of the Dead, and he was trying to get more shit made, um and he was always focused on writing something new or doing something new, and I think that's always important. Rob Lucas, what's up, man? Hello, Love Flame. Hi, that's right. I was just actually watching. Somebody posted a video of Eugene Clark at TerraCon, I believe. He was there, of course, in the Big Daddy get up, like walking up and down the line, people waiting to get in, and just like terrorizing people, and just getting people excited. So that's cool. I've talked about my experience with Eugene back at the Living Dead weekend in last October. Um, you know, but he's still a super cool guy to talk to. But man, he's trying to get that money out of you. I'm telling you. Robert, when is the new Night 90 coming out? I heard rumors. If you know, please clarify. I don't know. What I do, what I can say, what I do know is that Michael Felsher, of course, Red Shirt Pictures, is has apparently been working on it for quite some time. I think he was in Pittsburgh with Savini. I mean, just probably over a year ago now, working on stuff for this Night 90 release that's supposedly coming out. You um, but I haven't heard anything about it. I don't know when it's coming out, if it's coming out. I don't even know who's putting it out. I'm guessing it would probably be Sony. I don't know if Sony would loan that out to anybody. I think Sony would probably want to do it themselves. Just guessing. But I know Felsher right now is really wrapped up in trying to get Red Shirt Pictures is releasing Trick or Treat, the movie from the 80s with like Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons. I'm not super familiar with that film. I've never seen it. But that's a big title that he's been working on. Him and Don May over at Synapse, they've been working on it for a long time, and it seems to keep getting pushed back, and pushed back, and that thing's gonna sell like fucking hotcakes when it finally does come out, because there's a lot of people really looking forward to that finally coming out, because I don't think that's had a release since that DVD release years ago, which I think is out of print and kind of hard to find now. So he's got his hands full right now with that. So after that, I don't know. I know I've heard from him that he's working on a couple other projects, Romero related projects. But I think right now his main focus is that. But we'll see. I don't know. That's really all I know about that Night 90 release at this point. Um, the new documentaries go. Which new documentary are you talking about? The new documentary. Did they have a new Night 90 documentary that I'm not thinking of? John says, I'm being nice, but I think John over the years has, let's say, taken more credit than he should for at least Night. We have questions. Yeah, I've always felt that way too. I mean, he does deserve a lot of credit, because I mean, he was, co-writer on it, and but he always says like, it might be true. He's like, if you ask him, he'll always tell you like, oh, zombies were my idea. Like I came up with the idea of the flesh-eating ghoul and all that. It's possibly true. I don't know. Um, I think there's probably a lot of truth to that, but I also think there's an aspect of John where he will take a little bit more credit than he should on a lot of things. I'll just say that. Um, since I spoke to Russo about Midnight at Living Dead Weekend, he said he forgot everything about it. There you go. There you go. See, I know my John Russo, guys. I know, I know John Russo. Uh, But hell, he probably wanted to forget everything about that because from what I hear, night midnight was kind of a fucking disaster for Russo to make. Um, Rob Lucas says that's awesome. I love Eugene Clark. He's draining Big Daddy for everything. He really is, man. And you know what? Next year's the 20th anniversary of Land of the Dead, so you're going to be seeing that motherfucker everywhere. I'm telling you, there's a really good shot he's going to be at Living Dead Weekend next year. I'll just say that he's going to be there. But he's super cool. I mean, he's total salesman, total carny, and that's totally cool. It's just like our buddy John Russo. He's there to make money and sell his gimmicks, and that's cool. But it was just kind of, I just kind of had that moment. Like, first time I met him in 2008 at Texas Frightmare Weekend, he was super cool. I mean, he took a picture and everything free. He was just like, "Hey, what's up?" But then it's like years went down. He got more experience doing conventions. I think 2008 is 3 years after Land of the Dead is probably one of his first conventions. But the more conventions he's done, the more he realized, like, oh, this is a business. Like, everything's got to be money, pictures. If you want to take a picture with me, it's money. If you want me to sign anything, it's money. Which is fine. I mean, that's the whole point of it. That's why these people go out of their way to do these conventions. I mean, for the most part. I mean, sometimes you'll get those guests that just love to talk about the movie, love to hang out, like your Tom Dubinsky's, and I think Gornick to a big extent. Um, John Rice was like that when we met John Rice back in June. Um, just guys that just want to talk. They just like just want to talk about the movies. They love the work. So, but I mean, Big Daddy, Eugene Clark was, he just played a role. He didn't really have too much to do with the making Land of the Dead. So it's acceptable. It's acceptable. Terrorizing people by aggressively hawking his merchandise sounds about right. Well, I don't think he was. I didn't see any merchandise in his hand as he was going up and down the line, but I think he was definitely like trying to warm people over, like, "Hey, look at me! Hey, come see me at my table," shaking babies and kissing hands type of thing. You know what I mean? Uh, that's right. John Russo is the first credit as a writer. Just saying, that's true. Yeah, I mean, he definitely deserves credit. I mean, for writing which a lot of Night of the Living Dead was just to me, like, it's George Romero is the director and all that, but Night of the Living Dead was such a collaborative effort from everyone involved that I think there's an argument to be made that there are a lot of people that equally deserve credit for Night of the Living Dead. And Russo's one, Russ Streiner's for sure one. Carl Hardman, Marilyn Eastman. I mean, they're all. That movie would not have worked if they didn't have that crew of people and just the determination. I think John Russo deserves a lot of credit, if nothing else, for his entire career. He's always deserved credit as being a guy that's always going to get it done. Whether the movie turns out to be a big piece of shit or not, he set out to make a movie. He's going to finish his movie. He's going to make it. If whether it's what he wanted or if it looks how he wanted it, or if it turns out the way he wanted it, he determination. And I think John Russo, more than anything, you know, deserves credit for his determination over the years to get his films done and his books and everything else he does. And I think that's one big thing that he probably brought to the production of Night of the Living Dead was just that determination of like, let's keep pushing forward, let's keep making this, let's keep doing it. No, let's keep doing it, let's keep doing it. But luckily, he had somebody like George to kind of to shape everything into the classic that it became. But a lot of Russo talk tonight. All of a sudden, that's cool. Everything he's done since has been shit. Well, I like Midnight. I'll just go ahead and say it. Like at first, I was like, yeah, this movie sucks, but man, it's interesting. But I've watched it a few times since then. I'm like, I kind of like it. I like the soundtrack. I like Amplis in it. I mean, there's a lot that I really like. Lawrence Tierney is kind of cool to see in that, but Ed Trader Music and Entertainment. That's a new name. What's up, man? Or lady? Good to see you. I have a factory sealed Day of the Dead VHS, my most prized George Romero physical release. Yeah, that probably does go for quite a bit of fucking money. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I think I have one of those Hal Roach VHS releases of Night of the Living Dead. I have that sealed. What else do I have sealed? That may be the only thing I still have sealed. Usually when I buy physical media, it's to watch it, especially if it's Romero. Because even if it's something I own bunch of, like, Dawn of the Dead. Like, if they're no matter what, if I get something, I'm gonna watch it just because it's Dawn of the Dead. Which, speaking of, I mean, here's a fun story. I'll get back to the comments here in just a second, guys. I appreciate it. Um, hey, Uncle Bill's in the house. What's up, man? Eugene Clark has officially become Virgil from W. Kinda, yeah. I mean, it's kind of in that vein at this point, yeah. But hey, thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate it. Um, but yeah, this is a fun story. Just talking about watching Dawn of the Dead again. I watched Dawn of the Dead again earlier. I was downstairs hanging out with my daughter, and she's just running wild like fucking Hulkamania. Is just she's going nuts, and just like everything is like she will not settle down. Everything is, just all over the place. And I'm just like, fuck it. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna check out because Kentucky was playing South Carolina today or something like that football game. So I was like, I'll check out and see what the score is. Try to watch a football game. She's like, I don't want to watch football. I don't like football. I'm like, all right, well, too bad. Like, this is what I want to watch. And she was just not getting her way. She was like, I want to watch Chucky. I want to watch Chucky because she's fucking obsessed with Chucky, guys. I'm kind of worried. Um, but but it's like she's not watching. She's not acting more violent or anything from watch because she watches it all the time. The first two mostly, because I think she has a crush on Andy. I asked her the other day. I was like, "You think you like Andy?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You think he's cute?" "Yeah." I'm like, "Ah, I see what's going on here." So she really likes the first two, but she's just been obsessed with Chucky. I mean, her birthday's coming up at the beginning of October. She wants a Chucky birthday party. What do you want to be for Halloween? I want to be Chucky. So, okay, whatever. But I mean, she thinks it's funny more than anything else. And when you think about it, like the concept of a serial killer possessing the body of a doll and killing people is kind of funny. Um, but she gets a kick out of it, whatever. So I'm watching the football game. Back to the story. Watching the football game, and she's just kind of trying to find something to not watch this football game. So she goes over and coming up to the staircase on one of the light switches. I have a light switch cover. It's a Dawn of the Dead light switch cover. She walks over to it and she points to it. She says, "Daddy, I want to watch this." And I looked there. I was like, "Well, I can't say no to that. Come on over." And I put on Dawn of the Dead. We watched Dawn of the Dead. She was just like having a blast with it. Zombies. Oh, they're shopping. Are they going shopping? Oh, the zombies are shopping. She loved it. It was cool. So I mean, yeah, when your soon to be 4-year-old daughter says, "Hey, Dad, I want to watch Dawn of the Dead." All right, everything else can go to the side. We're gonna watch Dawn. But she likes it. She likes zombies. It was funny. She was outside earlier and it was getting dark, and I told her I was like, "It's time to come in." She's like, "Nope, nope, not coming in. I'm playing." And I said, "Well, if you don't come in, zombies are out here. The zombies are gonna get you." And she said, "Okay." I'm like, "God damn it!" Like you can't shake her. She's insane. Anyway, John said we have George's night script, so I don't know how much John actually wrote. I feel that he may have had ideas for the seeds of the story, but George actually wrote a script. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know because I know they were kind of writing that script as they shot, like as the shoot was going on. They were kind of writing as they were shooting because they would shoot pretty much like on weekends, like what I used to do when I was in high school. It's like get your buddies together on the weekend and shoot a movie. It's kind of how they shot that. They would just kind of take time off and write more of the script and go back to the shoot. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. But I'm sure if you ask John Russo, he'll tell you he wrote the whole thing. But whatever. Um, Robert hasn't seen Midnight. I recommend checking it out. It's not a great movie, but if you like cheesy 80s slasher movies that have a weird Texas chainsaw flavor to it that also has Romero like players in it, like Amplis is in it, like John Rice is a part of it. Ray Lane was on the crew. I think I don't know if he's in it or not, but I'd recommend checking it out. If you're a Romero fan, I'd say check it out. Of all of Russo's films that I've seen, I would recommend Midnight above all by far. I think unless you really want to have a fun time, you can watch Santa Claus around Christmas. Um, but yeah. Uncle Bill says Russo is by far the most questionable person out of the original Romero crew. He's basically running a yard sale now. Yeah, yeah, he is. I mean, that's like I said, he's a salesman. He's a carny. I mean, that's the first word that comes to mind when I think of John Russo is carny. and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. I'm just he's moving and shaking. But like I said, you can't discredit his determination to just get shit done. You know, books and his movies and what the quality, whatever. Not the best movies in the world, but by God, he got them made. If there's actually one person, like if you're wanting to start if you're wanting to make like an indie horror film with very little to no budget, like Russo would be a guy to talk to about that. I know he's written books on it in the past. I've never read any of them. I don't own any of them, but I know that they're out there. Um, of just kind of picking the brain of a guy that just gets it done, because that's always the thing. It's like, how many I can't tell you how many times I've started, like, I wrote the script and I got some money together and I got the shit together and I cast a few people, and then we go to shoot and we get, 1 or 2 days done, and then it's like everybody just dissipates and it just kind of falls apart and it never gets finished. So that's always the hardest part about, low to no budget indie filmmaking, keeping everybody on there. Yeah, yeah, his Facebook, he'll put some weird shit up there. I remember is I don't know, this was probably 6 months ago or something like that. He was on there. He was just like, "Hey, everything I have, I'll sell it to you for $2,000 or something like that." And I was like, "Damn, this dude's just trying to get rid of shit at this point." I think it's a fire sale. Brett says at least Russo probably made some bucks off Return of the Living Dead, thanks to Dan O'Bannon. Yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, but that the movie Return of the Living Dead is nothing like the book. It's a completely different story. So he probably just he made money off the title, but um, you see him at a convention now. He's still writer of Return of the Living Dead, and people think, oh, you wrote the movie. It's like not quite, not quite. Since Russo loved to make sleaze later on. Yeah, he really did. And that's kind of the direction that. So when Romero and the whole Latent Image crew kind of parted ways, Romero kind of went one way, and Russ and Russo and those guys kind of went a different direction. Like their idea was, hey, we made Night of the Living Dead. It's an exploitation film. Probably the next easiest thing to get financed, made, and make a little money off of are like these softcore sex pictures, or you know what I mean? Like, so they started doing like the booby hatch and shit like that, which didn't work out. But I do have like I said, I have a soft spot in my heart for the booby hatch. But yeah, he did, and Santa Claus is borderline porno. I mean that's basically. I mean he did go. I think he did. Was it Scream Queens magazine with Bob Michelucci? And that's all Santa Claus is basically just a big, 75-80 minute long commercial for that Scream Queens magazine that they were trying to get off the ground. I wonder if he was sorry. I don't know where am I at? Okay. I wonder if he was friends with the sleazy guy that helped George to make Vanilla. Forgot his name. Fuck, what is his name? Let me look at the. It was oh, I got it right up here actually. What was that dude's name? It's Canvas Films. Lee Hessel. Lee Hessel's the guy. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think Lee Hessel ever did anything with. Sorry, my headphones are sliding off of my balding fucking head. So, but yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. It makes sense. Steven Fernandez says, I can't believe it's going to be 20 years since Land of the Dead. I know. I was thinking about that the other day. I was talking to Larry about it. Land of the Dead is going to be 20 years next year, and Bruisers are going to be 25 years. And that's crazier to me than Land being 20 for some reason, because I guess I've seen Land so many times and have talked about Land of the Dead so much over the years, as opposed to Bruiser, which never really gets talked about. But I remember specifically, like, when Bruiser came out, like, it just being excited that there was a new Romero film. And it's crazy to me to think that was 25 years ago next year. Just fucking insane. I remember it's the only zombie film I got to see in the theater. Zombie film I got my dad to see in the theater. Yeah, that was my first Romero experience in the theater. Opening night. And yeah, I think I talked about that before. It was a first date in high school. I had my first job summer. I turned 16. Did my first job, first paycheck, first car. Got paid that Friday for my first paycheck. going on first date with this girl to go see Land of the Dead. I was like, this is gonna gauge whether or not we're gonna have a second date or not. What do you think of this movie? She liked it. She was cool with it. Um, so it says now if you can see if Brad Dourif is on Cameo. Oh, that is a good idea actually. That's a pretty cool idea. I might look into that. But yeah, she's insane. Lee Hessel, yeah, I think they were looking for cheaper, easy to sell exploitive films. Yeah, hence Booby Hatch. George had trouble with those films because they couldn't sell them as exploitation. Yeah. Let's see. That's a good point. Night is an interesting mix where you can see it as expensive, but also genius. Yeah, I mean, I think mostly the exploitation aspect of Night of the Living Dead is just the gore. The fact that they actually had the zombies tearing people apart and eating the guts and stuff like that. So, um, sorry, I'm gonna try to catch up on all these comments real quick, then we'll get into the meat of the matter here. I got a whole pile of shit to talk about here. So, no one talks about George Romero's bedtime stories, volume 1 and 2. I like them. What did you think? I've only seen one. I own both of them. I haven't watched the second one yet. That's kind of on my list of things that I probably should watch. Um, but I don't remember much about it. I know Marty Schiff is in part 1. Um, I don't remember much about it. The only thing I think Romero just pretty much just put his name on it. I don't think he wrote anything for it, if I'm not mistaken. Um, but yeah, I'll have to go back and revisit those at some point. There's a lot that I need to go back and rewatch stuff like that I've only seen once. Um, ED Trader, Music and Entertainment. I always thought it was George that had the dead not staying dead idea, and Russo had the eating human. That sounds about right, and it went from there. Yeah, that sounds about right because George was heavily inspired by the uh, I Am Legend, which of course went on to become Omega Man and Last Man on Earth, uh, and just kind of that whole idea. And I think Russo that does sound about right, actually. Good point. Good point. Yeah, Midnight was his best solo film. John saying, Uncle Bill, that's a shame because there may be really invaluable pieces of info that we could use, but since it's not a part of Image 10 anymore, it makes it pretty challenging. Yeah, I don't know. He sells all kinds of different shit on there. A lot of like canceled checks, stuff like that. You're very kind. Russo had one good idea. Everything after that was crap. Well, there's actually a new movie out that it's like a Western that he wrote. He's right there in the credits. It just came out. So, I mean, he's still getting shit made. I mean, he's still making money and producing or writing shit at least. I always thought it was okay. That's the same question. Robert said, I know the book. It's kind of okay, but it's kind of boring also. Garb Lucas, you like the movie Flesh Eater? It's actually decent. Flesh Eater's not bad. It's kind of a good. That's a Bill Heinzman film. And Heinzman was kind of in that crew too. I mean, he's in Santa Claus, and I think he was a DP on. Was he the DP on Midnight? I don't remember, but yeah, Heinzman was part of that crew. Yeah, Flesh Eater's not bad. I mean, it's silly fun. It's not a great movie by any means, but it's okay. Um, the man himself, Rick, the North Going Llama. What's up, man? Good to see you in here. I just love saying your name. So anytime you hop on, I'm going to give you a big introduction. Mayor, speaking of Return of the Living Dead, did you see the new figures that NECA announced this week? Yeah, I think I did. I think it was the Trash and Tarman figures, if I remember correctly. I saw them really briefly. I didn't look too deeply into it, but that's pretty cool. I still need to get that 4K. I know Walmart has that Steelbook 4K Return of the Living Dead. I need to get that because all I have is the old Blu-ray, and it kind of looks like shit. I actually just watched that not too long ago with my daughter. I know. I'm here talking shit about how weird she is, and here I am like, hey, it's Return of the Living Dead. But in all fairness, I mean, her first family vacation was the Living Dead weekend 2021, and I have a picture of her with Tarman. There's a guy Jeff cosplaying in full Tarman costume that year, and it's a picture of her sitting in the stroller, just like sitting there, just looking at him, just like, hey, what's up? I'm just like, maybe that would have been a tale early on to know that she's gonna be a fucking weirdo like me. Um, okay, let's see. It's just about top 10 physical media. Let's go and talk, please. Love you. All right, guys. I'm just trying to catch up on everybody's comments here real quick. Rick said Summer Dan O'Bannon was also in adult porn films as well. I don't know, maybe that's possible. I don't know too much about Dan O'Bannon that deeply. I don't know. He may have been. I mean, Wes Craven was. I mean, isn't that how Wes Craven got his start? Was doing porno? Maybe not doing, but directing. That'd been weird to find a Wes Craven in a porno. That'd be interesting. Matt, there's a reason Bruce doesn't get to talk about that. Shut up, Matt. I'm not even gonna dignify that comment with a remark. How dare you? Kirk, what's up, man? Kirk Redgate's in the house. I imported Flesh Eater on 4K weeks ago. It's a great film. My Zombie Nosh DVD is still on the shelf from 20 years ago. Very cool. Very cool. Glad you could hop in, man. I know it's probably really late for you right now, so I appreciate you staying up and hanging out with us for a little bit tonight. Rick said, did George produce a few Creepshow TV series episodes? No. George had already passed, I think, before that show came on the air. So, sadly, I don't know. He I'm sure he's credited on it, but I don't think he really. That's more of a Nicotero project. Robert says the first zombie that ever existed made a movie about zombies. It's fucking awesome. Watch it. Yeah, I mean that's what Flesh Eater is. It's kind of a sequel to Night of the Living Dead. It's the cemetery zombie, reincarnated or whatever. And it says Return is funny, so that's not that bad. But some of Trash's scenes, yeah, those were the ones. Those were the scenes. So I've never really been this guy. Like if she's watching something, like if it's gore or something like that, I'll just kind of let her, because she like if something's too scary or whatever, she'll look away. But like when it comes to like the Linnea Quigley's scenes in Return Limited, that's when I was like, yeah, let's close your eyes. Let's not let's not look at this right now. It'd just be weird. But all right. I think I'm caught up on all the comments here. Let's get into this. Hang on, let me. Sorry, I didn't get to do too many comments last week, so I figured I'd catch up, and I've spent almost the first hour of this fucking show doing that. So let me get this out of the way real quick. Talk amongst yourselves. I'll give you a topic. The Eagles of death metal are neither the Eagles or death metal. Discuss. All right. Okay, so this is I think I explained this when I was muted earlier, so I'll go through it again. Specifically, I made sure in the title of this stream to specify that this is my top 10 Romero physical media releases. My personal top 10. I'm not saying these are the best out there. I did a stream about 4 or 5 months ago called The Definitive Guide to George A. Romero physical media. That's more of like, what's the version of each movie to get that's out there available. This is just my personal top 10. There's going to be a lot of reminiscing and talking about, how I discovered these and these are the 10 releases, the 10 titles that meant the most to me and have meant the most to me over the years. So these are my personal favorite top 10. And this is one starting out here at number 10, which have a scotch there. I'm following coffee with scotch because I'm just that kind of guy. So number 10 here, that Larry kind of reminded me of the other day. One that I picked up, and this is one of the last Romero films that I remember ever seeing. Like when I first discovered George Romero and seeking out all his movies, and this was I think this was the last, other than the amusement park or something like that. But this was the last one that I saw because it's one that you really didn't see very often in stores. It didn't come on TV. It was it was very much a lost film for many, many years. But then one day I walk in, I'm with the girl that I took to go see Land of the Dead. In Bowling Green, Kentucky, at the local mall there. They had I think it was like a flat E or something like that. And looking, shopping, looking, seeing what I can find. And then all of a sudden I came across it and holy shit, I have to get this. And it looks badass. And I wasn't disappointed. Number 10 on my list of my top 10 favorite Romero physical media releases is the Knight Riders DVD from Anchor Bay, and this is the gold case version, which I thought was cool. You don't see this too often anymore, but it's got a gold case basically, and it's got the little insert booklet here. You know, all the usual accoutrement, as they say. Got your little insert booklet, scenes, little write up there. Who did this? Oh, a little write up from the man we mentioned earlier, Michael Felsher. And Felsher, for those of you guys that don't know Felsher, I mean, he's pretty much worked. I would guess. Let me look here. I'm gonna make a quick guess here. I would guess he's worked on probably 75% of the titles that I got here. But Knight Riders from Anchor Bay, this DVD. When did this come out? Well, it says package design. Well, it says 2000, so this came out in the year 2000. But yeah, I remember being at FYE, seeing this on the shelf, and it was just like, because I'd already, like I said, I'd already seen most every other Romero film. I pretty much owned most every other Romero film at that point, and I'd never seen Knight Riders until that point. And I found, and this is the copy that I bought 20 years ago or so, whatever it's been, and home. I was like, all right, we're going home. Dropped her off, went home, watched it, and just completely fucking fell in love with this movie. And was just like, why have I not watched this since? Because I guess, you know, when you're young, especially when you're a teenager, and you're getting into Romero and stuff like that. Like, to me, back then, like, Romero was all about gore and the horror and you know, zombies and stuff like that. So, like, when I heard, like, oh, he did a non-horror movie called Riders about, you know, people riding motorcycles, jousting on motorcycles, I was like, that sounds kind of goofy. Not too interested. When I found it, I was like, holy shit, I gotta buy it. And I think it was like $10 or something like that. Took it home, watched it, and just fell in love with it. Like I said, well, I mean, the amusement park kind of teared me up at the end. But as a teenager watching this, I started fucking crying at the end because all of a sudden there's one of my big heroes, Tom Savini, who's like badass stunt guy, special effects guy, fucking, you know. He breaks down, starts crying at the end of this movie, and I'm just like, it's one of those moments. It's one of those moments where you're watching a movie for the first time, and everything just came together perfectly. And one of my favorite things about Knight Riders, is just the fact that it's like one big Romero union, like his previous movies. Even going into his future films like Day of the Dead, I mean, we see, you know, Anthony DeLeo and Joe Pilato, and but of course there's people like oh god, what's his name? I'll have to look at the poster. Harold Wayne Jones or Hal Jones, whatever the fuck his name is. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it kind of covered like Ken Foray's in it, and Scott Reiniger's in it, and it's like everybody was in this movie. Jim Bafko's in it. Stephen King has an appearance in it. Even now looking back, I didn't know it then, but now looking back, it's kind of cool to see Sweet Sal has a quick little cameo in it. For all of you Tony Booba fans out there, there's my Tony Booba reference for the night. I'm sure he'll come up again later at some point. But yeah, I just fucking love this, and I watched this multiple times that weekend. It's got the widescreen presentation, audio commentary with George, Tom, John Amplis, Chris Romero, and film historian Stavrakis, who you guys know. Great commentary. I think I remember after the movie was over, I think I watched the commentary like immediately after that. Like I stayed up late that night and just did it all. And of course, it's got behind the scenes home movies, which is pretty cool. The trailer, TV spots, stuff. Now, there's been other releases of Knight Riders over the years. Arrow's done one. Who did the other one? Shout Factory, I know, did one. But to me, this one will always be just the gold case is cool as shit. And just the memory of this was the first time ever seen it. Like I didn't rent it or anything for the first time. I bought this right here popped it in, watched for the first time, and experienced it for the first time. Like I said, it was just one of those movie experiences where when it's over, it was just like that was borderline fucking perfect. Like it just hit all the notes for me. It was just the roller coaster ride. I mean, the stunt work, um, and I don't know, it just worked. The performances, like to me, to this day, it's still Tom Savini's best performance in anything he's ever done. Ed Harris, of course. Um, it was funny in parts. I mean, I love Night Riders. It's one of my absolute favorites. And there's another aspect to Night Riders which I'm going to get into in a future stream that I'm working on right now. There's a lot of pro wrestling influences in this movie, um, and that's going to be a subject for a future stream. So there it is, number 10, the Night Riders DVD from Anchor Bay, from 2000. It says that seems like a long ass time ago, but Jesus Christ, hang on, computer's jacked up here. Let me try to get back. Check out some comments here real quick. What are you guys thinking about that as my number 10? Kirk saying, thought I'd drop in. First time catching your live stream. I'm knackered. Well, man, here's to you, brother. I appreciate you. Appreciate you getting shit faced with us tonight on your late Saturday night over there across the pond, as they say. Rick the North Going I can't even say it. Rick the North Going Llama in an anniversary edition of Return of the Living Dead. The actress who's interviewed, who played Tina, yuppie type, teenage girl. So when she came to Dan O'Bannon's home to interview, she said Dan O'Bannon had adult porn video cassettes all over his kitchen. Well, I mean, it's it's an interesting story. I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stories, the making of Return of the Living Dead, especially with what we know now with some of the people involved in that. But Dan looked like a porn freak, but that's true. That's true. I get that a lot. People say that I look like a 70s porn actor with the stash, but I'll take it. Whatever. Breaking up. Everything okay sound wise, guys? I apologize. Mayor says, I've still got that DVD of Night Riders with the Arrow Blu-ray. Yeah, I got the Arrow Blu-ray. I got the Shout Factory Blu-ray. I got this is pretty cool. The old media VHS. Still got the flap on the bottom. That's a good one. Always fun. Felcher's glad to chat with him at Love and Dead Weekend. Yeah, Felcher's a good man. Good man. Kirk said we need a Night Riders on 4K. Still rocking that Arrow Blu-ray. Yeah, that's one title that does need a 4K. I think really, really cool. Definitely. Mayor agrees. E-Trader Music. Sons of Anarchy stole the ending of Night Riders. I've never seen Sons of Anarchy. That's interesting. I wonder if anybody's ever called them out on that. I don't know who the writer or the creators of that show would be, but it's interesting. Shouldn't be. I mean, shouldn't be. I'm not even on Wi-Fi. I'm like Ethernet directly into the computer right now. So hopefully it's clearing up. Hopefully I'm all right. Kirk says it's my favorite outside of the Dead films after Martin. Absolutely. Yep, there you go. There's your Tony Boober reference for tonight. Take a drink, everybody. Especially you, Kirk. I know you got one. Sin says, yep, saw Sons of Anarchy finale. I thought Night Riders. I might have to hunt that down. Just check it out, see what it was. Since it was a pleasure seeing Night Riders in the theater when it came out. Great film. Yeah, I think you were one of the only ones that saw it in the theater back in the day, because it just didn't do too well. But it's a hard movie to sell, I guess. I mean, that kind of looks cool. Again, a night on a motorcycle, but how do you sell that? It's kind of difficult. Kirk says the scene is powerful stuff, great performances all around. Yeah, totally agree. So hope everything's coming in okay. I'm gonna keep pushing forward. That's what these streams are, guys. It's technical difficulties, occasionally interrupted by my bullshit. All All right, number 9 on my list, my top 10 favorite Romero releases. This is one right around the same time, I think, when I first got Knight Riders. But number 9 on my list, there's definitely better versions of this out there for sure, in terms of picture quality and whatnot. But just in terms of sentimental value, it's got to be the Season of the Witch DVD release from Anchor Bay, which is the flipper disc. It's also got, there's always vanilla on the other side. And that was the major selling point to me when I first saw this. Because I had not seen, I'd seen Season of the Witch. I rented Season of the Witch on VHS when I was younger, probably early teens. Watched it, didn't think much of it. Because, I mean, A, it looked like shit. Couldn't really tell what was going on. Plus, I was like 14, 15 years old when I saw it. And I was just like, I don't get any of this. I was kind of like Uncle Bill. I was just like, it's just a bunch of broads, like, just middle-aged broads talking about God knows what. I didn't get it. I guess now that I'm an older man, I'm more in tune with that, I guess. I don't know. Because I like it a lot now. But yeah, basically the story when I first got this. So Vanilla was kind of always that lost film of Romero's that not a lot of people had seen. I hadn't seen it up to this point. That was one of the few that I hadn't seen at this point. But it was right around Christmas time, and we're talking probably 2006, 2007. I would say. I want to say Christmas, probably 2006. And my girlfriend at the time, we were talking about Christmas gifts and stuff. And her idea, so the girl I was with at the time, same girl that I went to see Land of the Dead with. It's all kind of around the same damn time, ain't it? But yeah, so for Christmas that year, her plan was, she was like, I'm going to get you a really nice watch. And in our dichotomy, she was, she was very stylish. She was into fashion and stuff. She would always wear like the dresses and the nice shoes and stuff. And I was more punk rock, band t-shirts, torn jeans. Like we were an interesting looking couple to a lot of people, but she was cool. And her thing for Christmas this year, I'm going to buy you a really nice watch, and show me a picture of it. It's got a, diamond in the middle. I was like, okay, that's cool. It's not really my style, but I appreciate it. That's really, really nice of you. I think it was like $100 or something like that. And of course, when you're in high school and you're buying gifts for each other, it's like $100 is a lot. When you're working a job where you're making, $250 every 2 weeks or something like that, So we're going Christmas shopping around Christmas time and whatnot. And we go to this place called Hastings in Clarksville, Tennessee. It was like this big store. It's where I bought a lot of DVDs and shit back in the day. Really cool store. In Hastings, looking around. And as I'm looking around, I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm like, I look at her, like I said, we're Christmas shopping. And I was like, look, I'm just going to be real with you. Like, I have no interest in a $100 watch with a diamond in the middle. Like, I'm not going to wear it. Like, I'm just not. So instead, can I take that $100 you were going to spend on that watch and just buy a shitload of DVDs in here? And she was like, all right, fine. It's your Christmas present, whatever you want to do. So I'm looking, and there on the shelf is this Season of the Witch fucking DVD. And I saw it, I was like, oh, sweet, Season of the Witch. And then I see that it also includes There's Always Vanilla. Immediately just grabbed it. I didn't care what the price was, what it was, didn't care. Had to have it because I had to see There's Always Vanilla. Had to. I don't even remember what else I got because I got there was a whole stack of DVDs that I got. Don't care, don't remember. The one that I remember vividly is this one because this is the first thing that I watched as soon as I got it. Took it home. Didn't even watch Season of the Witch. I don't even remember watching Season of the Witch all the way through on this version because it looks like shit for one. Both transfers on this, both Vanilla and Season of the Witch, are terrible. They are. And then they kind of give you a disclaimer right at the top, like before the movie starts, that, hey, we know the elements of this look like shit. Please, forgive us, but, it is what it is. So I take it home and I throw it in the DVD player and I'm watching There's Always Vanilla for the first time. And I absolutely just fucking love it. Kind of for a lot of the same reasons that I love Knight Riders. I mean, very different movies, very different films, but for a lot of the same reasons. I mean, first and foremost, the big reason was seeing, Russ Striner, with the long hair and the glasses and looking, all 60s cool, and seeing, I think John Russo has a cameo in it. And seeing Judith Ridley in another role, and it was just cool seeing because at that time, like if you hadn't seen There's Always Vanilla, like Night of the Living Dead was kind of the only thing you had seen Judith Ridley in, kind of the only thing you'd seen Russ Streiner in at the time. So seeing that was really cool. It was just kind of like seeing like something else in color from that time period because it was like right around when Night of the Living Dead came out, and they look and feel so different. Like it feels like those movies were made decades apart. Um, but it was just a weird experience, and of course, just all the scenes just covering Pittsburgh, and you just see all this, late '60s, early '70s Pittsburgh. There's just a flavor to it. I didn't even quite understand the story at the time because, like I said, I was still young. I didn't quite even grasp what the hell the story was at the time. I just enjoyed it just as a Romero fan, a young Romero fan, getting to see all these people in color and different roles. Some of the dialogue. I mean, it just kind of really captured my imagination. Um, so that's how I discovered There's Always Vanilla for the first time was on this DVD. Um, and of course, it had really good features on it. The directors, films of George A. Romero, which is was what channel used to show that? Was it like Bravo or I can't remember. Stars, maybe? I think Stars. It was a little documentary series where it would follow or it would just cover all these filmmakers and their careers. And I remember they did one for George. I remember seeing it on TV um, before I bought this. One on George. There was one on Wes Craven. I remember one on Carpenter, I think. Kevin Smith. There was one. Like there, I was a fan of the show. And so it had this on here. And I was like, okay, I got to have that. Um, it also has the featurette Season of the Witch, The Secret Life of Jack's Wife. Um, which I think, yeah, that I think that's, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just the interview basically with Jan White from Season of the Witch. Um, and at this time, like I was, aspiring, young student filmmaker, so I had to watch every feature, listen to every commentary, every documentary, because that's how I educated myself on how to make movies. How did George do it? That was my thinking. How did George do this? So of course I watched every feature commentary. Digging Up the Dead, the Lost Films of George A. Romero, which is extra on the There's Always Vanilla side. That was the one that really got interested me because it was George talking about Season of the Witch and There's Always Vanilla, which he never, there was like hardly any footage or any audio of George ever talking about these movies before. So that was a big one. And it's funny looking back, coming to find out that like, because Felsher worked on this as well. Felsher did that interview like right after George had just come off of the set of Land of the Dead, and he was just beat tired. And I mean, Land of the Dead just took it out of George at the time, and that was such a tough shoot for him. Um, so doing that interview right after that to talk about two movies that he really hasn't thought about or talked about in, you know, who knows how long, decades maybe. One of which he had no interest in talking about or thinking about, giving a shit about ever again, which was Always Vanilla, which was always interesting to me. He had George always seemed to have like reverence for Season of the Witch. It was always the one movie that George always talked about, like, oh, I wish I could go back and remake Season of the Witch with what I know now and maybe some more budget and time. Um, I think that would still work in this day and age, and I kind of agree. Um, but Vanilla was just the one where he just kind of lost it. I think in the and George is never like rude or angry about it, but it was just more of just like, look, I haven't thought about these movies in years. I remember very little. I care very little about these movies. Like that's all I got. So it was just kind of like a cranky George talking about these movies, which was interesting. Funny enough, like I said before, like years later, George actually revisited There's Always Vanilla with Felsher, I think, and I got a new appreciation for it and actually kind of liked it. Um, so, but yeah, that's number 9, The Season of the Witch. There's Always Vanilla, flipper disc DVD from Anchor Bay. What year did this come out? This has to be early 2000s too, 2005. So right, yeah, that would make sense. 2005 because he did that interview while George was filming Land, which would have been in 2004. So sounds about right to me. So interesting couple of titles to start out here. What are you guys thinking? Catch up on some comments here. Um, ba-da-ba-da. Hold on. Where'd I leave off? Matt saying, bless you. Thank you for showing Season of the Witch some love. Yeah, I try to. I try to. Doesn't always work out. Doesn't always work out for me in the end. But like I said, Season of the Witch, when I first saw it, I didn't get it, didn't care. I was just like, there's some cool moments where she's being chased through the house by the guy in the mask. Like, that's kind of cool. Other than that, I didn't get it. But the older I get, and like I said, the better versions of that we've got of Season of the Witch, and There's Always Vanilla, in terms of like the quality, sound quality, picture quality, the more I appreciate it. And we'll talk more about that here in a second. Since I vote for the weird witch version you were watching on stream, shut up. But seriously, witch is okay after a few views and age. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's one of those that I like more and more every time I see it. Mayor says I still haven't seen There's Always Vanilla. I believe that's the only Romero film I've never seen. Well, man, you gotta check it out. I mean, it's not a horror film. It's definitely something completely different. It's a movie that George kind of disowned for many, many years. Was just like, I don't. It's a movie George always said that he just edited more so than directed. Like, it wasn't his script. It was a script written by Rudy Ritchie. Um, and George was just kind of the de facto director, I guess. He's always said it's just more of a move. So if nothing else, watch it to kind of see George honing his editing style from the early 70s. Matt saying, Mayor, There's Always Vanilla is fantastic. My favorite non-zombie Romero film. We talked about that a little bit last week. That's interesting. I didn't know you were such a There's Always Vanilla fan, Matt. But I saw your post on Facebook. You posted something about There's Always Vanilla, and I was like, hell yeah, love me some There's Always Vanilla. And it's funny because like if you go to Pittsburgh, like I remember the first time we went to Pittsburgh, we took that what is it, the Duquesne, climbed the cart that goes up the side of the mountain, and I heard of course the sound effect is used in There's Always Vanilla. And just like we go to the engine room at the Monroeville Mall and you hear those engines and it sounds just like it did in the movie, that fucking thing sounds just like it did in There's Always Vanilla. And it grabbed me. I was like, holy shit, this is the thing from There's Always Vanilla. And I looked it up and I was like, yeah, that's it. Mayor had to buy Vanilla, very hard to find online. Yeah, I think you can get it. I know Arrow just put out that Blu-ray from that box set. I know you can get the Blu-ray separately, and I think it's fairly cheap. Most places, like maybe $15, maybe something like that. Carter, what's up, man? Carter Bullard in the house, an old buddy of mine, my old protege from my pizzeria days. Good to see you in here as always, man. Glad you were able to hop on. Excuse me. Rick says, is that the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, John Carpenter, or George Romero production? The George Romero. Halloween 3 is another one that I had waited years and years to finally see, but love it now. Kirk saying, I rewatched Vanilla this week from the Arrow Between Night and Dawn set. I still like that film. It's been a while. Yeah, I mean, it looks really good. I mean, Arrow did a bang up job on that box set, which wink, wink, we'll talk about here in a little bit. Yeah, that VHS was terrible synth. The old VHS was very bad, super dark and muted. Yeah, and it's hard. Like that was the first time that I'd seen that movie, was watching it like that, and I think that's why I just didn't like it. I just couldn't pick up on what the hell was going on. There you go. Sean saying There's Always Vanilla's on Tubi. Yeah, I think I've seen it on Tubi before. Edie Trader Music and Entertainment. Eugene Clark and George A. Romero's There's Always Chocolate. Well, I guess that's one way to look at it. I dig it. Robert Harbett's My Eyes Were Open. My eyes were open when Land of the Dead came out. Your eyes were open. Okay. Mine were too. Mayor says, thanks, Sean. Just added Vanilla to my Tubi watch list. Absolutely. Bonnie Bailey saying, I just rewatched There's Always Vanilla and I love it. Yeah, I mean, that's another that's another Romero title that a lot of people are coming around on more and more, I think, because it was always kind of that one was like, it's not a horror movie. It's some weird, I don't know, dark romantic comedy. I don't know what the hell you'd call it. But like I said, I think over the time, I think it really holds up. The subject matter in it is what really kind of hits home now. Like, it's great seeing Pittsburgh and, that time capsule of Pittsburgh and just the colors and just the vibe. But But watching it as an adult and kind of looking back and being like, yeah, there's a lot of truth to this movie, and there's a lot to be said. Um, that's right. That's the sequel. There's always butter pecan. Looking forward to that one. Rick saying I like the Crazies that was made after the first one. Maybe talk about that here in a minute. Since in the vanilla Blu-ray I got was very clean, worth the purchase. Yeah, the Arrow version's really good. Mayor said I just looked up the Arrow Blu-ray set between night and on eBay, and of course it's out of print, and it's going for more than I can afford. Well, we'll talk about that here in a minute. Yes, we will. Okay, so before we do that, though, let's talk about number 8 on my list. If I give it away. Number 8 on my list of my top 10 favorite Romero physical media releases. From Midnight Factory, this is the Zombie 4K box set from 2016. This is a great box set. This has the full framed, unmatted version of Argento's cut of Dawn of the Dead Zombie. And that was the reason that I bought this fucker. I mean, it's cool that it had the European cut in 4K, which was kind of the first time that you could see Dawn of the Dead in 4K, as when this came out. There may have been something before this, I'm not sure, but this was the big one. It's how many discs? 6 discs on this thing. It's got the 4K of the European cut, the Blu-ray of the European cut, the Blu-ray of the European cut full frame, the extended version, all the bonus features. There's a lot of stuff in Italian in this that I can't understand. I would love to get it, translated or something at some point so I could tell. But it's a great set, and this is the release that inspired me to finally break down and purchase a region-free Blu-ray player. Now, if you're a physical media purchaser, if you're a fan of physical media, if you're a collector, I highly, highly recommend picking up a region-free Blu-ray player because it literally opens up the world to you. There's so much out there that's region locked that's so cool, and this is one. This is a big one, and the main reason I mean, it has the European cut in 4K, and 4Ks are generally, I think they're changing that over time, but 4Ks are generally all region free. But the thing that got me was the full frame version that was on a Blu-ray, which is region locked, so you needed a region free Blu-ray player to watch it. So that's when I said, I'm buying this. This was like, I think when I bought it, like $80. Buying this, and then I'm going and I purchased a region free Blu-ray player, and I think I only paid, I mean, it was like maybe $200, maybe 150, something like that. Worth every fucking penny, because I got so many region free Blu-rays and shit over there now of stuff that's just not available here in the US. But when I finally got it and finally watched that full frame version of the European cut, and full frame unmatted version of the Cans cut on YouTube that we did a watch along of, I don't know, it's probably been months back. But this was the first chance of getting to see it, and it was just an opportunity, literally, for a nerd like me to see other things outside in the frame that have been cut off for years, So that's why, I mean, that's really the big reason why this is on my list, is that it kind of inspired me to get back into the physical media game, get a region free player, and to see that open matte version. And of course, I mean, the packaging is cool. I mean, it's got the little slip box on it. It's got the different European poster art. I think it's even reversible. Like I said, 6 discs of fun and joy. Jesus. It's kind of hard to close, I'll say that. But it also comes with these cool cards. I don't know if I've shown these off before. I may have. But for all you guys in here, I'll show them off again. For those of you that don't have this, these are some pretty cool, just some artwork pieces, some cards. Midnight Factory is running a contest to see, to have fans submit artwork for the main box art, the main cover. And there's some really good ones in here that I kind of wish they would have gone with, other than what they did, because this, I'm not the biggest fan of this cover art, to be honest with you. It looks like I don't know, an iron mask with jello or something on it. I don't know, but so yeah, this is all just like fan submitted artwork. And for everybody in the chat, we got quite a few people in here. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notifications button so you never miss this aging face. All that good shit. And then you can, if you like t-shirts and stuff, shop.alpharomero.store. Just put up a new for all you there's always vanilla fans out there. Just put up a new there's always vanilla design. So there you go. Anyway, back to this. I love this. This is something that I kind of want a tattoo of this. What do you guys think? I love that design, just what it says, the barcode kind of being puppet master to the zombies down there. I mean, that's perfect. That sums up. That's probably my favorite one of all these designs, honestly. Absolutely love that. Love that. And again, what do you guys think? Should I get a tattoo of it, like maybe the back of my neck or something? I don't know. There's a cool little piece of artwork there. It's got your four main cast, George up there in the middle. Looks pretty cool. Another art concept there. I'm done with that. Got your flyboy. This is a cool design. I think I've seen this design on t-shirts before. It's got the Dawn of the Dead with the long escalator, the zombies going up and down the escalators there. It's got the Georgia Barrow on the bottom. You got this little piece of art there. Not bad, not bad. But yeah, so it's cool to have those little art cards or whatever included with it. Yeah, I'm just obsessed with, like, it just captures what the movie is and what the movie's about perfectly to me. So yeah, that may be a future tattoo idea or something. What are you guys thinking? What do you guys think? But yeah, I mean, it's a great set. Like I said, now I'm gonna fight to try to get back in the packaging here. But yeah, it's great set. Like I said, it's got the reversible artwork on it too. It pretty much has all of the different versions of the artwork. There you go. There's like the yeah, I guess it's pretty much the US version, and then it's got that on there. I'm just gonna put this to the side instead of fidgeting and fucking with it while you guys are sitting around waiting for me to get to the point, get to something else here. But yeah, highly recommend. Like I said, region free is a way to go if you're a physical media fan. Oh, it literally opens up the world to you. All right, what are you guys thinking? What are you guys thinking here? Matt saying, hopping off. Looking forward to catching the rest in the morning. Had a blast on the roundtable last week. Hope to do it again with you guys soon. Well, man, I had a blast with you last week too. Appreciate you stopping in, hanging out with us tonight. Always good to see you in here, man. And looking forward to hanging out in Atlanta coming up in about a month. So be in your neck of the woods, sir. Looking forward to that. Since that Ray Lane is the connector, good in both films. Yeah, I mean, love Ray Lane. And that's kind of what this Between Night and Dawn box set is pretty much a Ray Lane feature. Robert saying the remake of The Crazies was great. Last production George Romero had. Well, I'm not a fan of it personally. I think it just kind of missed the point. It just took the name The Crazies and just they were like, oh, it's a George Romero thing. Let's make it it's basically a ripoff of the Dawn remake, even down to the opening credit sequence with the Johnny Cash song and shit. George really had nothing to do with it. I mean, I think they just put on there an associate producer or something like that. George really didn't have anything to do with that remake. It's a bad movie by any means. I mean, actually a very well made movie, but just not for my taste. I'm just such a big fan of the original Crazies that I just feel like it's really just kind of missed the point. Will's back. Howdy, folks. Howdy, Will. Good to see you. Crazy last movie George produced before he died. Yeah, like I said, it was just like an associate producer credit. Kirk says I bought my region free player last year. Best purchase ever. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that you're not going to regret buying. I mean, if you buy it and you don't buy anything to play on it, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a waste of money. But if you love physical media, if you love collecting Blu-rays, um, even like region-free, like region-locked DVDs back in the day. I mean, just some of the cool shit that from years ago, especially when it comes to like Dawn and stuff like that. Like, yeah, definitely won't regret it. Says that cool thing is Dawn full stuff on YouTube now. Yeah, I mean it's available on YouTube. It doesn't. I don't think I've seen the European cut full frame on YouTube. But definitely the cans cut, that 35 millimeter open matte version. I guess it's still up on YouTube. I looked recently, but I know Paul Farber was on the channel last week on, I think it was, I'm guessing, the Dawn of the Dead fan page on Facebook. I actually just went through and watched all the full frame versions that are available, and kind of picked out a bunch of different stuff that you can see in those versions that you can't see in any other versions. Really cool stuff he picked out that even I have missed. And I've seen those open matte versions quite a bit, but even some stuff that I missed out on. Because I was impressed with the open matte version of Dawn. It was cool seeing the full frame. Yeah, I mean, it is. I mean, if you're a huge fan of Dawn of the Dead, like I am, like it's just cool to be like, oh, what else is up there in that corner? Oh, wait a minute, what does that say? Or oh, look, there's there's Robert Williams holding the fucking boom mic. Mayor, that barcode would make a great shirt. Yeah, I guess it would. Yeah, yeah. Keep an eye on the old store, the old shop.alpharomero.store. Maybe I'll do something with it. Good idea, Mayor. That's a good idea. Thank you. Since the barcode's not good on scan as it is, yeah, I guess it's true. It just kind of starts looking like fucking claw marks or something. I don't know. That's a good point. It's a good point. ED Trader Music Entertainment. Well, I mean, women have bub tattooed on their thighs. Why not? That's true. I mean, I've seen there's a lot of tattoos on there. I mean, that's the thing. It's like at this point, so many people have so many tattoos now that we're all just gonna look like fucking. They're all gonna look like they're melting when we get older. So what the hell? Let's do it. There you go, Sam. That like, guys, but that helps. It helps the algorithms. What the kids say. We gotta up the algorithm. Stukas Dives in the house. I'm about an hour and a half from Atlanta. Hey, come to Days of the Dead, man. Me, Will, Matt will be there. Trying to get Larry there. I don't think Larry's gonna make it this year, unfortunately. But yeah, man, if you can make the trip, come on down. Come say hi. Let's hang out. But good to see you in here again, man. The man himself, the infamous Uncle Mark. What's up, man? Glad to see you. I remember watching Zombie 2 at the Alhambra Theater around 1980 or thereabouts. Are you serious? Did they play that at the Alhambra Theater? Sorry, guys. For those of you that are in Hopkinsville, where I grew up, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, there's a theater downtown called the Alhambra Theater. That's where we used to go see plays like 101 Dalmatians and Grease and shit when I was in elementary school. That's interesting. That's crazy if they played Zombie 2 at the Alhambra back in the day. Now I guess that's what they do, is just plays. Although I think they do play movies every now and then, but that's super cool. I had no idea. But yeah, for those of you guys that are unaffiliated with Uncle Mark here, this is my uncle that kind of introduced me to all of this stuff to begin with, and set me on my path to what I'm doing now. So cheers, Uncle Mark. Glad to have you here. As always. Paul, there you go. Just mentioning you, man. I think your ears must have started buzzing. You knew somebody was talking about you. Late to the party I am. Happy 20th anniversary to the Ultimate Edition from Anchor Bay. That may have made my list here at some point. We'll see. But god damn, 20 years. Another one. See, another anniversary that just makes me feel so old. Rick saying a very good zombie movie, modern movie, was a State of Emergency. I have not seen that. There's a lot of modern zombie movies that I haven't seen because so many of them are so bad, to be honest with you. But that's one I'll keep in mind. State of Emergency, easy to remember. Says my go-tos are the XT Video 4-disc set, and of course the 20/20 second sight set. Perfection on every level of the media. Yeah. That's the thing. I mean, that second sight, the box set is the four. I mean, it's hard to beat. I mean, that's the ultimate edition that we have now. Um, but does it make my list? We shall see. We shall see. Chris, I need to sleep, man, but I'll watch the rest tomorrow. It was cool joining the chat for a bit. I'm guessing your top 3 will be the same as mine. We'll see. There's some weird taste. If you didn't check out my top 10 non-Romero zombie films, there were quite a few on there that people were like, "What the fuck?" But possibly, I think they're. I don't know. We'll see. But glad you're able to stop in, man. I think it was the first time that you were able to catch a live stream, commenting back and forth, chatting with you. I want to get you on a stream at some point too. We'll set up something, but you're get the time zones corrected. But appreciate it, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Uncle Mark saying yes. Okay, Alhambra had great atmosphere for any horror movie. Dark with a musty smell inside that old theater. Yeah, I mean that theater still kind of smells like that. Last time I was in there, last time I was at the Alhambra, actually thinking about it, I just remembered this was I went to see Psycho. They were screening Psycho. I mean, this was probably, I don't know how long ago. It was probably 5-6 years ago, maybe. It's around Halloween time. But yeah, that does sound perfect. That theater's been there for a while. That's crazy that they actually. I would have never guessed that even if they had a multiplex at the time in Hopkinsville, they would have played Zombie 2. But what do you know? Uncle Mark dropping the education on us tonight. Since then, I bought the second sight 4K on set and don't even have a 4K TV yet. I mean, looks great, but I mean, just the set itself is worth having if you're a Dawn fan for sure. All right, I'm knock that down. So we're on to number 7. This is one we've been talking about, different titles, and spoiler alert. But this is what influenced me to kind of get into buying and collecting Blu-ray, and that is Between Night and Dawn box set from Arrow Video. Let's do that. You got the Crazies, Season of the Witch. There's always Vanilla. Now, of course, when this came out, people were like, "Oh, where's Martin?" You know, it's like, well, you know, it's not literal. But it's such. I love that artwork there of George. It's all kinds of new content on it. The transfers. That's the big thing about this. So up to this point, before this came out, and I guess just to tell the full story here, around when this came out, I started listening to Matt Blasey, Eric Kent on WGON radio. They had a little podcast that I just kind of found, and it's really one of the big reasons I started doing this and talking about Romero. Because at the time when I found it, I was kind of focused on other things. I wasn't, as die hard. I gotta collect and learn everything about Romero as I am now. But when I discovered the podcast or listened to it, this was kind of the big thing that was coming out at the time, and they were talking about it, reviewing it, and all that stuff. So as I was listening to that podcast, I was like, well, I gotta have this box set. And I had like a few Blu-rays at the time, but mostly I was still in the mode of like, I got it on DVD. I don't need to see it on Blu-ray. Who cares? But when this came out, and I knew that it was a better transfer of Vanilla, there was a better transfer of Season of the Witch, and the Crazies. I think Crazies already had a Blu-ray release, but I mean, it was just a box set of. I had to have it, so I ordered it, got it, and I'll tell you the thing about this that I love the most is that this was the version of Season of the Witch that really made me appreciate it for the film that it is, because it looked better, it sounded better, you could understand what the hell was going on. So this is the first time I popped this in and watched it. Was the kind of like watching it for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. And of course, having Season of the Witch on Blu-ray, which these have the reversible covers as well. They have like the commissioned artwork that I guess Arrow does, and then like the original artwork. But I'm one of those guys that anytime that I can reverse the artwork and put it on the original poster artwork, I'm gonna do it every time for every movie, just because I like the original artwork better. Um, but yeah, it was cool having a good looking transfer of There's Always Vanilla on Blu-ray. Um, the Crazies, of course. I mean, talk about the Crazies all night long if you want. Then it has came with a little book with it. It's got the little booklet with little stories and all kinds of information in there. So yeah, this was kind of the thing that kind of got me into Blu-ray and kind of started my appreciation for Season of the Witch, um, more so than I'd had before. And let me get these back in here. But another big thing about this box set is the features. I mean, we had Larry on. We've had Larry on a few times over the past few months. He was on last week, but he's all over this box set. I mean, he has a locations featurette on pretty much every one of these discs, where he takes you to locations for There's Always Vanilla and the Crazies and Season of the Witch. Um, my biggest complaint, it's got a documentary on There's Always Vanilla, which has like some interesting, pretty funny stories from guys like John Russo and Russ Striner. Um, Russo's talking about how his wife or girlfriend at the time was great at rolling joints, so they pretty much the entire filming of There's Always Vanilla, they were just stoned off their ass the entire time, which it's easy to believe. But yeah, it's got that documentary on there. Let me go through here. I'll read off what all's in here. So the King There's Always Vanilla, brand new documentary featuring interviews with producers John Russo and Russ Striner, stars Judith Ridley, and Richard Ritchie. Sound recorder Gary Strider, Digging Up the Dead. It's got that interview with George where he's uh, talking about Vanilla and Season of the Witch. Um, Let's see anything else that's done. My biggest complaint on this, though, there's no audio commentary tracks with anybody that was involved with the movie. All three of these, let me see here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all three. They all three have an audio commentary with Travis Crawford, who's just a guy who I think has passed since. So I'm not gonna talk badly about or anything, but I'm just not a fan. I mean, he's had commentaries tracks on Martin and Dawn, both in the Second Sight uh, releases, as well as the three on this. So that was my big thing. It's like, could we not have got like the one guy that I would love to have, which I don't even think he really talking to me. He's kind of like George with Vanilla. But I would love to have a Gary Striner audio commentary on Season of the Witch, because by all accounts, I mean, he was the real producer on Season of the Witch, as opposed to, I think, Nancy Romero, credit, who was George's first wife. Um, but I think, and then I think he kind of got edged out. I think it kind of soured his relationship with George after that. So it's not a movie that he likes to talk about too much. But I would love to have had a Gary Striner commentary on Season of the Witch, as opposed to Travis Crawford. Which the commentary with Crawford, I mean, I guess he's a film historian or critic or something like that. So he's pretty much just reading off an IMDb and just kind of, I don't know. It's just not for me. But it also has some lost behind the scenes footage of the Crazies, of the fire, the opening fire scene where the house is on fire, that was acquired from Greg Nicotero's uncle, Sam Nicotero, who had this footage and was able to put it on this. So, I mean, it's just chock full of features, and I mean, it's. I think now you can get this. I think it's going for right around $100 on eBay. It's out of print. But you can get it on eBay for right around $100, and I think it's totally worth it. Um, so I don't know. This is probably the one by even with that Second Sight Dawn box set. This is the one box set that I go back to the most. I guess it's the three different movies, and it's the best version that you can get of each movie. I mean, this is the definitive version of the Crazies and Vanilla and Season of the Witch that you can get. So, um, but yeah, big fan of that box set. And like I said, it's the one that kind of got me back into collecting physical media again, and pushing me towards Blu-ray away from DVD, and getting with the times, as they say. Grande saying, wish it had Martin. I have Season of Vanilla. Never upgraded my Crazies copy from the Blue Underground Blue. Yeah, that's the thing about that Blue Underground Crazies release too, is that it has that commentary track. One of my all-time favorite commentary tracks, which is actually that DVD, the Crazies that Blue Underground did. Actually could have made this list too. It's probably number 11 on the list. But it has that commentary with Bill Lustig, who did, Maniac and Maniac Cop. It had a commentary with him and George, and it was just cool listening to two indie horror filmmakers just chopping it up about, the process of getting these movies done and how they're made and stuff like that. So that's the one negative. The one big negative is it doesn't include that audio commentary track. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong. Let me double check here before I sound like an asshole. I don't think so though. No, it just has that. Yeah, it just has the Travis Crawford commentary. But I love that commentary track. I do have the Blue Underground Blu-ray as well, just for that commentary track. Which I think the commentary track I think is on my channel. If you want to look it up, the movie's not on there because YouTube wouldn't allow it, but the commentary track is. So it's just really cool to hear Lustig and Romero just chopping it up about indie filmmaking. Because Lustig, of course, runs Blue Underground, and he's I don't know if he still does or not, but I think he did. But he's a big Crazies fan, and just listening to him, because George is kind of always in the commentaries, especially for something like the Crazies. It's good to have a fan, somebody that appreciates the movie, because George, would just look at the Crazies and be like, "Oh, it looks like shit," or "That didn't work," or "I wish I could have done this," or "I wish I could have done that." So it was good to have somebody like Bill Lustig there to kind of, say, "No, George, this is awesome. Like this works for me. Like I love." Specifically, they're talking about like the lighting that they used for the Crazies at night, where now you would use like a blue tint on the light to kind of give it the moonlight look or whatever. But back then, they were doing Crazies, it was just hot white light. But it works for me for the Crazies, and Bill was trying to explain that to George, and George is like, "Yeah, well, I wish I would have, wish I would have done something different." Um, but yeah, that Blue Underground is definitely worth having too, just for that commentary track for sure. Uncle Mark said, "Well, the Alhambra was opened in 1928, so yes, it's old." Oh, okay, I didn't know it was that fucking old. 1928, so we're almost at the 100-year anniversary of Alhambra. That's crazy. Do they still do anything there, Uncle Mark? Do they still do plays and stuff there? Last I heard, they would have like some movies, like seasonal movie screenings every now and then. That's about it. I don't know if they're still doing, productions of Grease or anything for the for the elementary schools to go to, but whatever. Pressing the Dawn's Second Sight set was my doorway to getting a 4K TV for the movies and region free for the extras. Hell yeah. That was one expensive release with all that. I mean, it was, but with all that was in that box set, I mean, it was worth every penny for me, just to have those documentaries, those new documentaries and stuff. And just to see Dawn in 4K is pretty damn awesome too. Feels like the first. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it was watching Season of the Witch. It felt like I was watching it for the first time. I was like, holy shit, I didn't know all this was going on in the movie. Who knew? Granda says, I, for some reason, always wanted to hear from Lee Hessel. Yeah, that would be interesting. I think we've discussed that before as a possible interesting topic for a show in the future, is just kind of the Lee Hessel years, because Lee Hessel was, from Vanilla through the Crazies, was kind of George's producer, and of course, I mean, he was, you know, unorthodox in his way of promoting some of these movies, and changing of the titles and all that stuff. But that would be interesting to learn more about Lee Hessel for sure. That's a really good idea. I'll write that down actually as maybe a possible topic. Which, I mean, it would just be me and you, Grande, in here for that one. I think probably. I mean, there's probably a couple other people that might be interested in that, but I don't know. Again, maybe my SKU is a little older, but I don't know how many YouTube viewers are going to be like, "Holy shit, a live stream about Lee Hessel? I'm there," you know. But what the hell? I mean, if you want to come on and chat about it, we'll talk about it, brother. John said, I need to get that Between Night and Dawn box set at some point. Yeah, man, you really do. There's so much in there, so much information. I think you would, especially that documentary. There's vanilla. There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. And there's a point in that documentary too. It's interesting. They're talking about Rudy Ritchie, and I feel like there may have been. I do know. Well, I don't know for sure, but I'm fairly certain that there's some heat there between Rudy and John Russo. 'Cause, I mean, they're kind of co-directors on Booby Hatch too. But if you listen to the Booby Hatch audio commentary with Russo, Rudy Ritchie, and Russ Striner, you can hear Russo and Ritchie kind of going back and forth throughout that whole thing, just like fucking like a married couple. Um, so then to listen to Russo and even Striner to a degree in that documentary talk about Richie and kind of not really like shitting on him or putting him down or anything, but just kind of saying like, oh yeah, he had all these great ideas, but he never did anything with them. They were just like in a box in a garage somewhere, and it's like you can have the greatest idea in the world, but if it doesn't do you any good if it's sitting in a drawer somewhere. So I don't know. It just felt like there were a few kind of I don't know heated backhand. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not backhanded, but you know what I mean. Like just a few jabs at Rudy Rich. But I don't know. It was interesting. I'd highly recommend checking it out. The crazies footage was worth the price of the box set alone. Yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, there's not a lot there. You don't see a whole lot, but it's just like behind the scenes footage from the crazies. Like that's something that you never expect to see ever, and then you see it and you're like, oh wow, that's pretty fucking cool to have. And it's cooler that it came from Sam Nicotero, so there's like even that tie to it. Um, yeah, better than day for night. Yeah, they talked about that in the commentary too. Romero was like, "Oh, this day for night stuff isn't working," but it's like, yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Bro says, I love the Between Night and Dawn set from the reverse art, booklet, transfers, features. It's all great. Disc menus look amazing. It just has the song Heaven Help Us playing on the menu. Yeah. Heaven Help Us. I think I found it's funny. I found that 45 because the lady that sings that is a singer called her name's what Beverly fuck, what is her name? Beverly Bevers or something like that. I can't remember. But I found that 45 on eBay, and I'm kind of contemplating on buying it just for the fact that it's the 45 is a single. Says Beverly Brimmers is the name. Beverly Brimmers, Heaven Help Us, and then on the side it says from the motion picture Crazies. So I just kind of want it for that. I think that's kind of cool. It's like a weird piece of Crazies memorabilia there, I guess. Uncle Mark saying, yeah, mostly plays in such some seasonal movies and special showings, classic movies. I mean, that's cool that's still up and going. I think they just remodel it or something not too long ago, if I remember correctly. Yeah, yeah. I guess that probably would have been George's last credit. Actually, was that Izzy's remake. Plus, as I'll watch the rest either tomorrow or next week. Fun time as always. Just wanted to tune in for a little while. Well, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you stopping in. Make sure you hit that like button. God damn it, I'll track you down all the way to next year's Living Dead weekend. I'll get you. I appreciate you stopping in, man. You're always a good time. Always a good time. Let's see. Yeah, I would too. I'd love to hear more from Lee's side of the story. Yeah, I'd love to hear anything from Lee. I don't know if there's any old interviews or articles or anything, but it'd be interesting. Yeah, Bonnie Green would be interesting too. I don't know. Maybe we'll do a Lee Hessel stream, Grande. Maybe. Grandson, I've heard Romero say Lee didn't put any effort into Vanilla, and it frustrated him. I also think Lee's girlfriend changed the title to The Affair. Would love to do that topic. Yeah, I mean, I'm down, man. I'm down to do it. Like I said, I don't know how popular or how big it'll be, but fuck, man, I'm down to hang out and talk about Hessel all you want, for sure. I wouldn't. I didn't even see the first one, so I couldn't care less. The book is great. I wish if they made the movie in the same spirit as the book, I mean that'd have been like I just saw the trailers and I was just like, it's just not what I was hoping for. But yeah, you never know. I mean, there may be one in the works. I don't remember how. I guess that movie made quite a bit of money. It had Brad Pitt in it and shit, so I'm guessing it did. Yes, it has been remodeled using the same motif as the old theater. Looks very nice. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, 100 years, and let's maybe keep it going longer than that. But yeah, I think last time I was there, I think I was there to watch Psycho, right around Halloween time. All right, let's get back to this countdown. We're slogging through this sucker. So this one's an easy one. This one's an obvious one. I don't know. There's not a lot to really say about this one other than just to give it its props, because this is the this is the media release that started it all for me. And I didn't even own this until, I don't know, a couple of years ago. But Uncle Mark in the chat, I guess it's the perfect time to bring it up. It's, of course, the Dawn of the Dead VHS from Thorn EMI from like 1983, I want to say. So this is the version that I first rented and first watched after Uncle Mark informed me that there was a zombie, because I was, 12, 13 maybe at the time. What would I have been? No, it'd have been 99, I think is when I saw it. So I'd have been 11, 10 or 11 maybe. And this is right when Resident Evil was like the biggest video game going at the time. So me and my cousin Zach, Uncle Mark's son, were huge into Resident Evil at the time. That's what we played. That's what we wanted to do. So I was getting into zombies. I was like, oh, zombies. That's a thing. That's a monster. I didn't even put it together. I remember talking about it, and I was saying like, oh, it would be a cool setting for a zombie movie or zombie video game, be a shopping mall. Like, as malls in the 90s were still my favorite place in the world to go, was to go to a fucking mall. And Uncle Mark was like, well, actually, there is this movie from, it's an older movie, but it's from back in the day, and it takes place in a mall. It's a zombie movie in a mall. It's called Dawn of the Dead. And I kept that in my brain, and I was like, all right, I'll check it out if I ever see it anywhere. So then probably a few months down the road, we're at the movie gallery in Olive Branch, Mississippi. This is when we were living in Mississippi. And we'd always go to movie gallery and rent movies. And usually I would either go to the wrestling section and I'd rent like an old wrestling pay-per-view or something, or I'd go to the horror section and get a horror movie. That's where I first rented and discovered Return of the Living Dead for the first time. That's where I first discovered Texas Chainsaw Massacre for the first time. Then one night I was there, and all of a sudden I come across this Dawn of the Dead. Now, I probably had seen it before on the shelf. I never thought anything of it. But I will say one thing about this, and I love the Bob Michelucci artwork here in hindsight. It's like, but for a 10, 11-year-old kid who's going to find a horror movie to watch on a Friday night, like, this doesn't really jump out at you. There's no gore. There's no extravagant artwork. It's just it looks like an old guy sitting up, and then on the back you just got some rather tame looking blue face zombies. But I remembered Uncle Mark saying, "Dawn of the Dead. It's a movie about zombies in a shopping mall." Okay, let's do it. So this is the version that I rented, took home at night, that Friday night. I remember it. I remember it well. That Friday night, took it home, watched it, and was just blown away. But I think the thing about Dawn, because like you could say like, oh, it's a movie about zombies in a shopping mall, and there could be zombies in a shopping mall and things will happen, but it's not what you would think in your head. Like, because that happens. That used to happen all the time to me when I was a kid. Like, you'd see the cover art on a box or something, think like you'd have this grand vision in your head of like what this movie is and what it's about, and it never, 99% of the time, would never live up to the hype that you built up in your head. But this movie lived up to that hype so much more, as you can tell. Everything that I wanted from this movie was in this movie. Like, in my brain, it was like, oh, it'd be so cool if, like, before I watched it, I was like, oh, it'd be so cool if, like, the zombies are in the mall and they got to go through and just shoot all the zombies, and that happens. Oh, it'd be cool if they killed all the zombies, locked all the doors, and then just had the mall to themselves, and they could just go shopping and have everything they ever wanted. It's like the ultimate fantasy. And that happens. I didn't see the bunkers coming. Yeah, there's like the gore I didn't expect, really. So it was just like the perfect film. Everything came together, this version. And I would go back and rent this movie over and over again. The weekend that I had rented the movie originally, I watched it twice the first night. Watched it once, thought it was fucking awesome. Rewound it, watched it again in bed late at night. Next day, took it into the living room and was like, I think my dad was he was either working or outside doing something, mowing the yard, something. So it was just me and my mom. And I was like, Mom, you got to watch this movie. Because my mom's kind of cool. She used to like, she'd like to watch some of the horror movies and stuff that I'd rent. So I was like, you got to watch this movie. It's fucking awesome. So I watched it in the living room with my mom that Saturday. I probably watched it again that night. Watched it again that Sunday during the afternoon. Watched it over and over and over again. Then I'd go back and rent it and watch it again, rent it and watch it again. I can't tell you how many times I rented this movie. This version, the Thorny Am clamshell box. I mean, this is an old rental copy. I specifically bought this version because it's an old rental copy. Um, as you can see, please rewind tape. That's just a friendly reminder. And it's still got the horror sticker on it. So yeah, this version means so much. Just the opening Thorny Am logo and all that. It's I don't know. I have such sentimentality to this version. Like a guy, I mean, it's an old ass VHS. It looks like shit, sounds like shit. When I did that edited for TV version of Dawn of the Dead that's on my channel, this is the version that I use, and as you can tell, it looks like shit, sounds like shit on YouTube. So it's directly from this. So yeah, I mean, I can't get enough about this Thorny Am clamshell box. I mean, it's what started it all for me, and gotta give it its due. You guys see in the comments, you're like, oh man, a VHS. Yeah, I'm telling you, I'm going all over the place tonight. I got all kinds of shit here. Let's see, where was I? So it says Lee doesn't have a lot of crap on IMDb, and they list Vanilla as the affair. They do mention the softcore porn stuff. Yeah, I mean, I think even when Russo talks about Vanilla, he refers to it as the affair a lot of the time. So I agree with the World War Z. Excellent book, not a great movie. There you go, Sensei, and that is the Dawn tape / case I rented in 1982 with friends. Changed everything. There you go. Will, that's my absolute favorite VHS release. The cover art is everything. Yeah, I mean, now in hindsight, as a Dawn fan, I mean, I love the back. I mean, but like I said, when I was 12 years old, 11, 10, whatever the hell I was, like if I'm just you're walking around a video store and I pick up and look at it, I mean, there's no blood, there's no gore, it's not it's weird. That's the only picture on the back, which usually you're used to, like, Return of the Living Dead or something like that, where it's got zombies and gore and stuff all over it. And this is just plain, classy, old school. But when I read the back of the box, I was like, because I even remember this part, being at Movie Gallery and reading the back of the box to make sure that this was the movie that my Uncle Mark was talking about. Because I was just like, really? This is in a mall? Like, this doesn't look like a zombie in a mall movie. I don't know. But of course, in the back, the description, it says they escaped to where does it say? Armed with weapons, the 4 humans managed to secure the mall through a series of brutal battles with the living dead creatures. That's all I needed to hear. I was sold, and forever changed after that. ERI, what's up? I think it's a newer name, unless you've changed it over the years. But good to see you. Oh wow, Thorn My Hard Shell, Dawn of the Dead. Haven't seen that in over 30 years. Yes, sir. 70s and 80s covers for horror movies can't be beaten. I agree. I mean, I think it's a big reason why VHS is kind of making a comeback, is because a lot of that old VHS artwork, I mean, a lot of the artwork for the VHS, like especially the horror VHS back in the day, were 10 times better than the movie actually was. I mean, you look at a lot of the slashers and stuff in the 80s, and you look at the cover art on a lot of those VHS tapes, and it's like, holy shit! Like I was saying a minute ago, you'd see it and you're like, holy shit, this looks like the most awesome horror movie ever made. Then you take it home and watch it, and you're like, well, this is awful. Like this has nothing to do with the cover art. But yeah, totally agree. Good to see you in here. Thank you for stopping in. Trade Music and Entertainment. I found this from a VHS archive. Dawn of the Dead release date May 1983. That's right, 83. Distributor Thorny Am Video. Let's see. Rob Lucas says, I can't believe how much The Walking Dead resembles 990. They should pay George and Tom royalties. Yeah, I mean, well, I think George always had an issue with The Walking Dead because he felt like they were just blatantly ripping him off. But they probably should. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they even offered. I think I vaguely remember hearing George may have gotten an offer to maybe direct one, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't think he had any interest in doing it. Since says it's only missing the breast of the Joe Bob trifecta. Zombies are the beast. I don't count the breast of Galen since the scene isn't gratuitous. Yeah, it's the most like depressing, like downer boob scene of all time. It's just like, when you're a teenager, you're just like, I guess that's boobs. I guess that's boobage, right? That's right. Words to live by. Be kind. Please rewind. Absolutely. You're saying long for those times in the world today. Yeah, I really do. Like I really do miss video stores. I think we were talking about this last week. We were talking about the nostalgia of video stores and just the going there on a Friday night or taking a date. Your first date, you take them to the video store. What do you want to rent? We'll go back to my place. We'll rent a couple of movies, grab a pizza. Go back to my place. Now, they got Netflix and chill and shit now, but it's not the same. You take somebody to a video store and you walk them up and down the aisles and you just pick out stuff and you can look at the boxes and discuss it. I mean, you could be there for hours. Not today anymore. You just scroll through and scroll and scroll, and that's all you can do. That's life now. A video store in high school charged at least $1 for unwound tapes. Yeah, I've heard of that. I always rewound my tapes. Always, even when I was a kid, like always. Even shit that I owned, like if I was watching it and I was done with it, rewound it always. Granny says I have a re-release VHS from HBO. I believe has the same cover art. Had Scott sign it at Living Dead Weekend. That's awesome. Yeah, HBO did a release, had the same cover art as did Video Treasures. I think was it Video Treasures? Yeah, there were a few different companies that released it with that cover art for sure. I think Video Treasures was like early 90s. HBO was late 80s. So, yeah. Saying that hardshell VHS of Dawn was my doorway too when my dad rented it from me from Blockbuster when I was like 10 years old back in 92. That artwork is iconic. I want the rental store poster so bad. Yeah, I got that old sucker back here. It's kind of in rough shape, but I mean those things go for big fucking money now. I mean I see them on eBay sometimes and $400-500 easy. For ones in good shape. That one's a little torn in the corners, but for $50, I couldn't pass it up. I was like, "That's mine. I'll take a few blemishes for $50. I'll take it." Omar saying, "I'm glad I could influence young people in such a positive manner." Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if you were here earlier. I was talking about uh, Everly and her tastes and growing up. But right now she's about to be 4 in October, and the theme she wants for her birthday party right now, as we're could change, but as of now is she wants Chucky. She's obsessed with Chucky in the first 2 Child's Play movies. So I'm passing it on, I guess, to the next generation. Which I didn't even like force. I wasn't even like, hey, watch these Chucky movies. Like we watched one and I was like, and she was like, okay, that was cool. But she didn't think about it she didn't really mention it for weeks and weeks. And then all of a sudden it was just Chucky, Chucky, Chucky. And I'm like, holy shit, like what's going on here? Anyway, but yeah, passing it on, Mark. Yeah, Vanilla's a non-horror film. Yeah, there's always Vanilla as like a, I don't know, romantic, downer romantic comedy. Not sure. Is it me or the mic breaking it? It might be. I don't know. Like I said, a lot of technical issues. I hope it's clearing up. I can't hear myself. I have no real playback to really listen to. So, I mean, if there are any issues, guys, let me know. The first 10 minutes of this stream started with me just. So, I don't know. Doing my best. Doing my best. I need a producer. I need a producer. Um. Well, all right. Let's see here. I'm trying to get. Yeah, that was always my dream job. Worked at a video store for 11 years. Favorite job ever. Yeah, unfortunately, by the time that I was old enough to really work, and they were all kind of done. They were all kind of dead. Especially like the mom and pops. Like Blockbuster was around for a couple of years after that, but that was about it. Robert's still happy for the Land 4K. Yeah, I mean, I might pick that up. Yeah, that's another thing about too. Is you don't really have you work at a Blockbuster or something like that. You can kind of influence what other people are watching and checking out. But um, my father opened one of the first video stores in my area. I have hundreds of video store posters. Oh, well, you're a guy. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit me up. I'll be your friend. What all? I'd be curious to see what all you got, because that's one thing that I'm big into. Like I love one sheet theater posters, but um, the video store posters are the ones that I find myself picking up more and more here lately. So okay, since saying stream glitches comes and goes, yeah. My apologies, guys. I'm trying to do what I can here. Um, I'm saying, yeah, maybe because Greg Nicotero worked on Night 90 and Day of the Dead, maybe he took that look for The Walking Dead. Yeah, I mean, for sure. But did Greg and George have a falling out? No. I think Greg and George were actually still pretty close friends until George just passed. I know Greg worked on Land of the Dead. K&B did the effects of Land of the Dead. Nicotero had a cameo, Diary of the Dead. So I don't think there's any heat between those two at all. Not at all. Yeah, I try to work at a family, but yeah, we used to have a family video right down the road from where I'm living right now. That's, I think, a week after we moved here, they closed it. So, it's a funny story. Brett says, when I was like 12, I brought a VHS copy of Dawn to my best friend's house. His little brothers scrambled to an inch away from the screen when they thought they might be able to see Galen's boob. Yeah. Which is funny, those old VHSs, like they were really dark, so you really couldn't see, but like the better quality that we got over the years, the more clear they became. So it's always a big plus when Dawn first DVD. 2008, yeah, that was probably right around the last time. I think the last mom and pop video store I remember in Hopkinsville was, because we had All American Video. I feel like they probably went out of business right around the same time. But then there was also Star Video, which was kind of like, I don't know, downtown. It was like a little hole in the wall, literal hole in the wall video store. But yeah, it was probably around that time, 2008. I'd say it's probably around the time that closed, for sure. What the hell? Hang on. No, I'm having mouse issues. Hang on. Okay, you guys hear me? Sorry. Okay, sorry. Shit came unplugged. Let's see. I'm subscribing. Do you have a Discord? No Discord. Thinking about possibly doing something like that in the future. Setting up a Discord for everybody. Kind of come on, chat, share, hang out, talk anything Romero, horror, whatever. So looking into that at some point. But yeah, I got my email, man. If you want to hit me up, shoot me an email. My email is available on the YouTube channel. So definitely be cool. For sure. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? We start like a Discord or something like that for everybody. Since says Brian De Palma had a local place in the hills and used to rent at that store. Oh, that's interesting. I know that. Yeah, Carter. Missed the old family video out on Sycamore. Yeah, right by the Little Caesars in Murray. Yeah, that was again another thing. When I first moved to Murray, like I was excited. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get my family video card." so I can go rent movies. And then like again, like a month after I moved there, they closed. I was like, shit. And maybe I'm the issue. Maybe I'm the one closing down all these family videos around the world. Oh, okay. Hang on. Let me thanks since coming back. Hang on. Let me edit my settings here. Now I'm on. All right. This should be better. My futuristic mic. Um yeah. Night of the Zombies. I'm so confused that was music from Dawn. I love Hell of a Little. It's a blatant rip off of Dawn of the Dead. But I'm with it. Okay, let's get back to the countdown. We're in the top 5 now. Top 5, your top 5. My top 10 physical media releases. Coming in at number 5 on this one is the Lionsgate DVD release of Martin. Now, yes, there is the second sight release of Martin that just came out. What was it? Probably about a year and a half ago. And that is the much better version to get. Definitely the definitive for Martin to get is that box set from Second Sight. But this is really the version of Martin, the DVD version, that where I first discovered and really fell in love with Martin. I had Martin VHS that recorded. They played on IFC one year. I recorded it off IFC, and I'd watch the movie like that. But this was the first DVD release of Martin, because I know Anchor Bay had done a release of this prior, but I think it was a limited release. It was out of really fast, kind of hard to find. Really didn't see it too often. And I remember in Madisonville, Kentucky, Madisonville, we'd go to Madisonville every Saturday, and we'd go to the mall there in Madisonville. We'd go to Godfather's Pizza, we'd eat pizza, and then we'd go play around the mall, which I guess is one of the reasons why I love Dawn of the Dead, because I grew up playing around in a fucking mall. But to the mall, there was what was it called? McCon2, I think. It was a FYE media store. And we'd go over there every now and then, check out what they got, get a CD or DVD, whatever. And I remember seeing this, was just like, fuck, I gotta have it. And I think so I remember correctly, I think my cousin Justin, we were both in there. We both had like a certain amount of money we could spend to get whatever we want. Like our granny or something would give us some money to, like, here's some money, go buy yourself something. And this was like a little bit more expensive than the money that I had. I remember having to talk Justin to let me borrow some of his funds to get this. And I think we spent the night that night and we watched it. But yeah, this was just like the most information and stuff that I really had access to for this movie at that point, because it had the documentary Making Martin, a recounting, which is like 10, 15 minutes long. It's definitely not what we would get with the Second Sight documentary, which has like that hour-long documentary, which is a fantastic documentary. But it was kind of the only, you got to remember when these DVDs first came out, this was kind of the first time that any of these movies had commentary track, documentary, making a featurette, stuff like that. This was all new. And of course, like I said, for me as like a aspiring future filmmaker, like I had to watch it all. I had to listen to it all. I had to take it all in. And this also has like one of my favorite commentary tracks ever on it. But the commentary with George Romero. Richard Rubinstein actually did a commentary track for Martin with Romero, Tom Savini, Mike Gornick, and Donald Rubinstein. So, I mean, just people that you never hear on commentary tracks. And I think Richard Rubinstein is also on the commentary track on the Anchor Bay version as well. So it's kind of funny that Rubinstein, the only two movies that Rubinstein has done a commentary for is Martin and Dawn of the Dead, the two films that he owns, which makes sense, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. This one this is what made me fall in love with him. Like, I liked Martin up to that point, but I remember taking this son of a bitch everywhere and making girlfriends watch it, cousins. I remember telling you, like, this is what I want to make a movie like this. Can you be like John Amplis? I remember my cousin TJ would just be like, I could try, I guess. But But yeah, I just wanted this is this. I still to this day. I know it's sacrilege to say, but if I were to ever get a budget and get the opportunity to remake a movie, I want to remake Martin because I want to make a movie like Martin. Um, I just always have. I just love the setting, Braddock, drink. I love the setting. I love the idea of a dying town, dying small town. Um, I don't know. It's just everything. Like I said, Martin is probably my second favorite movie period ever, behind Dawn. Um, I love this movie and this version so much that I remember, and this is fucked up, and this is probably why I'm probably not the best significant other or whatnot, best boyfriend or whatever. But I remember specifically one year for Christmas, I bought this as a gift to give to my girlfriend at the time. Yeah, I did. You need to see this movie. You love the movie. Here, Merry Christmas. There are other things too, but this was like one of the things. It was like, here, I bought this for you, and she's like, thanks, I guess. But the interesting thing about that story is, years down the road, years later, we actually ran into each other again, talked again or whatever, and she mentioned that she actually did finally watch it after we'd broken up and years passed, whatever. She was like, "Oh, what is this movie?" And she watched it and she was like, "I fucking love that movie now. Like that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time now." So I was like, "Okay, yeah, it worked. My plan worked." Um, but either way. So yeah, I just remember taking this movie, watching this, and just wearing this fucking DVD out. I mean, it's pretty bare bones. It's got the disc in it, and that's about it. Um, and like I said, the second sight box set that just came out is definitely the definitive version to get. Just in terms of the look of the transfer, the features, the commentaries are there, which actually I don't know. It's on the other side. I can't get it, but I don't remember if I think all the commentaries are on there, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. The commentaries with Rubenstein and Romero and all those guys. I could be wrong about that, but I do know there's a Travis Crawford commentary on there too that I haven't listened to, but yeah. So number 5, the Martin Lionsgate DVD. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Number 5. Bruno Mattei. Yeah, classic filmmaker. Granny says that DVD was a long out of print when I started collecting. Still have my bootleg DVD of Martin. Okay, I hate region log. That's why I'm telling you, dude, get a region free Blu-ray player. Invest, especially for you, Grande. You are, as somebody that loves film as much as you, like you gotta open the world. You gotta open up planet Earth to you, man. You gotta get that second sight. Is that good? Night of the Zombies. I mean, I wouldn't say good, but I mean it's good in a bad way, or bad in a good way. However you wanna say it. Robert said I just got this movie. I'm minutes in. Are you talking about Night of the Zombies or Martin? Trader Music. Of all the Romero films, Martin could have a good remake. Martin would have a social media to become a star, not just the radio. Yeah, I mean, there's so much you could do with that story now. My idea, I mean, if anybody wants to steal this or whatnot, I mean, I guess I can't really copyright trademark it, but my idea is to kind of play into the idea that Martin's delusion is kind of a thing that's happening on mass with the youth with a lot of the youth of today, and it's kind of like a big social thing that people are arguing on TV. I mean, it's kind of into like how do we treat these people? Do we treat them like like they're really bad, like they're mentally ill? Should we put them in jail? Should we I see a lot of that today. I don't know. Um, I think that would be a good angle or an interesting angle to take on it. And not just one kid who's dealing with this, but it's kind of like this um, mass thing. I don't know, but just my idea. But yeah, that's another good aspect too. I mean, it would have to be social media. He'd just be, QAnon for a vampire QAnon or something like that. Just an anonymous person on Reddit. Just that would make total sense. That would totally work. Since in the Martin walking tour video of Braddock is cool. Yeah, that's another thing on that second site, a box set. It's got the walking tour of Braddock with John Amplis, Tom Dubinsky, and Mike Gornick. Really cool to see. And again, I mean, it's Amplis. You know, Amplis loves fucking talking about Martin, and so he's like recreating scenes and stuff. It's really fun. Um, Rob Lucas wants a Dark Half remake with 10 times the gore. Yeah, you could probably get away with that. You could probably get away with that today. Granny says, "Isn't the Anchor Bay version like a purple cover with Martin?" Yeah, it's like a purple and yellow cover. It's available out there. I have that one now, but the only time I'd ever seen that before was they had a rental version of it at that Hastings place I mentioned earlier. Um, so yeah, I'd never actually saw that version until I bought it years and years down the road. I have a friend that I think is the Count. It's a great line to end the movie with. Tatakuda equals Santa. I always thought he just had like a Colonel Sanders thing to him. I don't know. It's the white suit. He's just always in a white suit. Stu, never saw it. You never saw Martin. Gotta see Martin. Gotta see Martin. It's an interesting horror film because it's not your typical vampire story. It's not your typical horror film, and really, it's more of like a. I was kind of say it's like an early A24 type of vampire film. Like it takes the vampire genre, which George loved to do. I mean, he does this with Season of the Witch. He does it with Martin. He kind of takes the old the horror monster folklore of like witches and vampires and brings it into reality and kind of just takes all the piss out of it. That's kind of what he does in Martin. Um for sure. Let's see. Martin versus the MAGA masses on social media. Yeah, kind of that. Yeah. Kind of that. Yeah. You're kind of picking up what I'm putting down. How is the cousin calling out Nosferatu when he doesn't know what Martin is doing? Oh, you're in the middle of watching a movie now. I mean, we can go through it, but I mean, Kuda kind of is on to Martin, and kind of the reason why Martin is the way he is because Kuda and his, um, his lineage, his family has brought him up to believe that Martin is a curse and the devil, and he's possessed by the devil and stuff. So it's a little complicated in that way, but Kuda is kind of the reason why Martin is the way he is, and the rest of the family. Um, so I don't know. It's up to interpretation, but as you're watching it, let me know what you think. Granny says, Martin is fucking great. I tried to show it to so many. No one ever gets into it that I've tried to show the movie to. Yeah, I mean, it's one that you really got to sit down and watch and just take in because it's all about atmosphere. It's all about mood. It's about, I mean, a lot of the movie is you're just following Martin doing mundane things through his daily life, and you're taking in the scenery of Braddock, and I love that. That's I'm such a fan of that style. But yeah, it's definitely not one that you want to put on at a party or something like that because it's just not going to get over with a lot of people, um, for sure. Um, but all right, let's keep it going. About 2.5 hours into this fucker, we still have 4 to go. So, number 4 on my list, and like I said, not what I would consider the definitive version of this movie at this point. There's a Criterion 4K of it, but in terms of my experience, my life experience, and what it means to me, number 4 on the list, The Night of the Living Dead Millennium Edition DVD from Elite Entertainment. And this came out. We got a date or a year on this sucker. I can't remember. Can't remember the date, what year this came out, but it was one of the early DVD releases of Night of the Living Dead. And that was the thing about Night of the Living Dead is there were a shit ton of DVD releases because DVD in its infancy, I mean, they were just kind of putting out what they could. And Night of the Living Dead was, of course, in public domain. So all kinds of different companies were just throwing Night of the Living Dead out on DVD. You can still find a billion different versions of Night of the Living Dead on DVD. This wasn't even the first version of Night of the Living Dead on DVD that I owned. The very first DVD that I ever bought when we got our first DVD player was Night of the Living Dead. And it was just like it was like $10 uh, just shitty looking version of Night of the Living Dead. But I was just like, holy shit, it's on Blu-ray. It's, or not Blu-ray, but DVD. And of course, at the time, looking back on it, like DVD, like to us now, looking at a DVD, it's like, oh, this, quality's not up to snuff. It's not high definition or whatever. But at the time, like coming from VHS to DVD was just like, wow. And I know DVD was basically just a smaller version of a later laser disc, but we didn't have laser disc. I didn't have a laser disc player. Like I didn't know what the fuck laser disc was until I was a little older. We had videotapes, we had VHS. Um, so seeing Night of the Living Dead on a cleaned up DVD for the first time was pretty exciting. And so, like I said, this wasn't even the first version. Like a lot of these were the first versions that I'd owned. This is not the first version. The second version that I own is actually the other Elite release that has like the cartoon version of Kyra Shone on the cover. And that one has the commentary tracks with all the cast and crew that they recorded for that Laserdisc from like 94. And that's the one that I really watched a lot over and over again. Again, listening to those commentary tracks. And really, it's like I love Dawn of the Dead, and it definitely inspired me in a lot of ways. But Night of the Living Dead is really that kind of inspired me to kind of think like, oh, I could make a movie. Because when you listen to those commentary tracks and you listen to the stories with George and Carl Hardman and Russo and Striner and I think even Keith Wayne is on one of those commentary tracks. When you listen to those guys talk about the making of Night of the Living Dead, it seems like something you can do. When they're like, oh yeah, we would just come and shoot on the weekends. We'd get everybody together on the weekends. Like I could do that. It's like, oh, we just, we this house and we furnished it. We went, the story specifically that I remember is like, oh, we went down to the Goodwill, gave them $50 and they let us just fill the truck up with as much furniture and shit as we could fit. I was like, I could do that. I could do that. So Night of the Living Dead is really the movie that like made me think like I can do this. I can make this movie. And then it really started with the DVD release and listening to those commentary tracks and listening to them talk about it. And but the thing about this is the version to have. The other Elite version that I'm talking about, the cartoon cover, I think I bought that was like $12 or something like that. It was more affordable. It was a more affordable version, but this one was always out there, and this one was always more like in the $25 range because there was so much on it. But this was always the version that I had to have when I first saw it. Because you look at the back, I mean, of course, it has both of the commentary tracks still. Um, the film parody Night of the Living Bread, which is on the other version as well, which is fun to watch, and again showing you that you can make a movie with little to no money. But the big selling point, the two big selling points on this thing that made me dish out the cash to finally get it, and I had to have it because this was pre. I got this pre that Season of the Witch flipper disc Anchor Bay DVD. This when I saw in the back. It says scenes from the lost Romero film, There's Always Vanilla. When I saw that, I had to fucking have this. That on top of Romero directed TV spots and short films. When I saw that on the back, I had to fucking have this. This thing was chocked full of features and everything that a Night of the Living Dead fan could want at the time when it was released. It has the final interview with star Dwayne Jones, which I think is available on my channel. It's got the history of Romero's company, the latent image, something that I was dying to learn more about when I was younger. Has the original shooting script on it, so you can pop this into your. I don't even know if they still do that, where you can pop the disc into your computer and it has all these extra features and stuff on it. Liner notes from Stephen King. I mean, this was the definitive DVD version of Night of the Living Dead to have. I guess all the way up until that. That Dimension was it Dimension Extreme that put out that one that had the One for Fire documentary on it. I guess that would be kind of the definitive version of Night of the Living Dead to own on DVD. But I still, I mean, just because I guess it has that documentary on it, but I still, I have just a love for this version. I took in every bit of this that I could when I first got it. I mean, just being able to see scenes from There's Always Vanilla for the first time was just just blew me away. And of course, it has pictures of the original props and stuff like that. So Millennium Edition, Night of the Living Dead DVD from Elite, number 4 on my list. Like I said, not the definitive version to own. I mean, I guess if you're still rocking the DVDs, I guess it is, or maybe the Dimension release. But the Criterion is absolutely the way to go. If you can get the Blu-ray or the 4K, I mean, just all the extra, like the dailies on that, just to see the behind the scenes stuff that I just never seen before is just amazing in itself. But what do we got here? What do we got here? What do we got here? It says, oh man, not the 30th anniversary edition. Well, no. I do have that though. The Anchor Bay 30th anniversary edition. And you know what? I'll admit this now. It's late. You know, we're rolling here. We got 3 more to go. I'll go ahead and admit this right now. The first time I saw the 30th anniversary edition, I was young, early teens, still discovering everything, still trying to figure out my life and who I am. But the first time I saw the 30th anniversary edition, I liked it better than the original. I did. I liked the extra footage. It had a little more gore to it, like specifically when the zombies in the car wreck, when they pull the body out and it has the pole in the back of the head or the front of the head, I can't remember, but they pull the body out and the brain matter falls out of the head. Like I was like, oh, that's so cool. I just felt like it added a little more for whatever reason. I know, throw your eggs and your rotten tomatoes and everything else that you want to throw, but of course, over the years, as I got older and wiser, and I look back on it now, I'm like, yeah, the acting is really, really bad, and it's really unnecessary, and why would you do that to a classic film, and all the usual. But when you're younger, you're just watching it, and you're like, oh, there's more there's more zombies, there's more gore, there's more this, there's more that. Yeah, it's pretty fucking bad. But yeah, I do have that. I have this on DVD, and I have the VHS as well. I'll admit, I have both. So, still waiting for that 4K to come out. That's all I'm saying. Robert has that one. All right. Millennium Edition release date, March 12th, 2002. There you go. Early days of DVD. I guess DVD, like, when did DVD first start? Like 97, late 90s, somewhere around there. I think 97 probably sounds about right to me. So, yeah, 2002. There you go. Since those Night should be more inspirational to filmmakers than Clerks. I think it is. I mean, I think there's a definite connection, especially to indie filmmaking, to Night of the Living Dead. But I mean, Clerks is right up there too. I mean, Clerks, in terms of my aspiration to be a filmmaker one day, Clerks is right there with it. I mean, that's another movie that I've studied and watched over and over and over again, and I love Clerks to death. And Kevin Smith, say what you want about him now. I mean, he's kind of gone off the deep end. He's kind of lost in the sauce a lot of the times. But back in the day, I mean, that was, you know, again, inspiring. Just like there's like some guy in a small town in New Jersey. Him and his friends got together. He maxed out his credit cards and made a movie, and then he became one of the biggest directors of all time. So, well, what can you say? Only 10, Robert? You only have 10 versions of this movie? That's the thing. Like, Night of the Living Dead, there's so many versions to choose from because, like I said, it was in public domain for so long that any company, like, you could just start a fucking media company and release Night of the Living Dead, and you couldn't do anything about it at the time. So there's so many out there to choose from. It traded music and entertainment. Listening to Romero's crew helped me realize that I could do my music documentaries without a major studio budget. Great inspiration. Absolutely. There you go. John says, actually popped this in 2 days ago. Had Hardman's The Derelict. I heard before. Also noticed it in school. I found was in one of the latent commercials. Oh, interesting. I'd love to hear that, actually. Yeah, there's like I said, there's still so much. I mean, a lot of this, I know Dwayne Jones interview I put is on the channel. Does this have video interview with Judith Ridley that they shot for this is on the channel. So I mean, there's just so much good stuff that I grew up with that just was like I was just soaking in like a fucking sponge. Love it to death. So much good there. Criterion have all the Criterion collection. Yeah, the Criterion, you can't beat it. Since still trying to figure out his life. Yeah, I think we all are. I think that's the point. I think we all try to figure it out until it's over. That's all we can do. Oh, I guess it's John's reaction to my my liking of the 30th anniversary edition the first time. Like I said, I was a dumb kid. I was a dumb kid. I make no excuses, but it is what it is. It's yeah, cash grab for sure. But I mean, they tried to do a couple of different things. I mean, the Night 90 remake is kind of a cash grab. They were trying to cash in on, the Night of the Living Dead name, at least, because they lost out on so much money over the years from not having the copyright. So um, I think, any cash grab they can do, I guess, if I can go for it, I guess, at this point. Stigga says the first DVD he ever got was Gladiator. Yeah, that'd probably been better to see. A better way to test out your brand new DVD player would be Gladiator, as opposed to a shitty copy of Night of the Living Dead. But whatever, it was what it was. John says they're still trying to get around the copyright with that one. They thought that version would be the definitive version, and you won't need the original. Wow, they were out of their minds if they thought that was the version. Anyone into Creepshow 3, the show that Greg produced and directed some episodes? That I've seen quite a few episodes of the Creepshow series, but I haven't watched it all the way through. I haven't been following it too closely. I'm still way behind on TV shows. I need to go back. There's a whole lot of Tales from the Dark Side, the series, and I need to go back and rewatch. Yeah, that'd have been a better one. The first DVD was The Matrix. That'd have made more sense too. But hey, what the hell? We got a DVD player, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm gonna go get my first DVD. It was Night of the Living Dead, and it looked like shit. I remember who put that. It was like Hollywood Classics or something like that. It had like the red border around it, and not good, not good. All right, top 3 here coming up as we're closing in on the 3-hour mark. Appreciate you guys staying up with me tonight and hanging out. It's been a pretty full room. I appreciate it, guys. It's been fun. Number 3 on my list, and this is a deep personal favorite of mine. The very first edition of Dawn of the Dead that I ever owned on VHS. That wasn't recorded by IFC or anything like that. First edition I ever owned was the Dawn of the Dead Anniversary Edition DVD from Anchor Bay at number 3. I remember seeing this. So it was in Owensboro, Kentucky, at the local mall there. They had an FYE. And I was a huge Dawn fan. I had Dawn recorded on a VHS tape that I had grabbed off of IFC. And I had watched it over and over and over again. But I don't remember ever seeing it for sale anywhere until we were at this mall in Owensboro, Kentucky. And there it was, $19.99. I remember the price, $19.99, $20, which was a huge price for a fucking videotape. I mean, we're talking 2000, probably 2001-ish, I would say, maybe 2000. And at that point, VHS tapes were lower because DVD was on the rise and VHS tapes were pretty cheap. So $20 for a videotape was big deal for us. I mean, growing up. But I saw it. It was there. I had to have it. It's the director's cut for you guys. I love the box art, the color of it. As you can see, it's kind of the background of this stream. I had to use that box. I had to have it. I talked my dad into buying it for me for $20. And I cannot tell you how many times I wore this fucking movie out. This tape over and over again. And of course, this also included the Monroeville Mall commercial. The big time shopping is finally here. Monroeville Mall. That commercial that I ripped off for my store. But yeah, so it was cool seeing that. I mean, it was just to own an actual copy of Dawn of the Dead for the first time as a 12, 13-year-old. Big deal for me. Like I said, it's got the Dawn of the Dead director's cut. And I know they had re-released. I know Anchor Bay had released quite a few different versions of this at the time because the director's cut was kind of a big thing, re-releasing in the late '90s, um, especially on VHS. And they say the director's cut, but it's really the what should be called the Cannes cut because it's the cut that Romero put together for the Cannes Film Festival. Um, to show it off there, but it's not the version that George prefers. George has said that he prefers the theatrical version, but I personally prefer the theatrical cut or the Cannes cut, whatever the hell you want to call it. I prefer this cut because this is the version that I grew up with. Yes, the Thorny Eye version was the one I rented and watched, and would watch every now and then when I could go back and rent it or whatnot. But this is the version that I watched over and over again. That's also the version that I used to have recorded off of IFC. IFC was showing it at the time. They were showing the Cannes cut as well. So this is the version that I grew up with. This is the version that I soaked in and took in. So I guess maybe that's why it's my preferred version. But I just think that the theatrical, I don't know. I don't think it's I feel like the theatrical version just kind of cuts out some really important shit that the director's cut or the Cannes cut has. Like the second shopping montage. Like I know, yeah, it drags a little if you're not a huge fan of the movie, but I think it really drives the idea home of like, oh yeah, we have all this stuff, but now what? Like, you know what I mean? Like the second time around where they're doing all the shopping and loot, it's like they're just like, yeah, whatever. And I'm told it just feels the longer cut to me just feels like you're in that situation too. Like time slowing down at that point. And people are, I've heard people say, "Oh, it's too slow in that part and whatnot." Yeah, that's probably true for a general audience. It probably is too slow. But for a diehard Dawn of the Dead fan, like give me that all day long because I think that's the beautiful thing about Dawn of the Dead. It does something that most movies don't do, and I harken back when people are like, "Oh, the storytelling aspect of the Dead is so unconventional." It really is because the fact of the matter is the plot of the Dawn of the Dead is really these four characters and their pursuit of trying to secure and take over the mall. Like that's really the main plot of the movie. Is they get to a mall and the plot of the movie is they want to take it over. And they do that halfway through the movie. They accomplish their goal at the end of the movie or by the middle of the movie. They've locked all the doors, they've secured the mall, they've killed all the zombies, they've cleaned them up, and now they have everything. And but that's the movie. That's where Dawn of the Dead is so different than most movies, and what makes it so great to me is that it continues for another hour or so after the mission is accomplished. Like most movies, once the mission is accomplished, it's over. Once Batman, locks up the Joker and saves the day, like that's the end. But like imagine if Batman captures the Joker, locks him up, and then like there's another hour of the movie where we see Gotham celebrating. It's like, oh yay, we're free of crime and tyranny of the Joker. Then what? Like, oh, there's still other crime. There's still other issues. Oh wait, here comes a tornado. I don't know, a flood hits Gotham. Like there are other things, that deal with, and that's what Dawn of the Dead does. Like the main goal of the story is accomplished halfway through, and then it continues, and then we see what happens after that. And I think we get more of that, and I think it works better in this Cannes cut, and I think that's really what made me fall in love with the movie to begin with. Is seeing that, is the drawing that out, and expanding on that and taking you beyond where most movies end. Most movies, the credits would roll after, they the credits would roll after the dolly shot where they're standing on the balcony, looking down at all the dead zombies, like that. Okay, mission accomplished. The mall is ours. The end. It's like life continues, life goes on, and even when you accomplish your goal that you've worked so hard to accomplish, there's still going to be trials, tribulations. You're not going to be satisfied. You're going to want more. That's what's life. I mean, you look at billionaires around the world. I don't mean to go off some tangent here, but fuck it. It's almost midnight. We're 3 hours in, and I'm going on a tangent. You look at some of the billionaires around the world; they're not satisfied. They've accomplished all their goals. They've got everything they could ever want, everything they would ever need. They still want more. They still want something else, and that's the whole point. And then eventually something else comes. Whether it's a natural disaster or a coked up bike gang. Who knows? Um. Anyway, there you go. Anniversary edition, Dawn of the Dead on VHS, number 3 on my list of my top 10 favorite Romero physical releases. Only ever seen that version on eBay. Crazy with the rainbow color. Yeah, I've always, I don't know, it's such a weird cover for sure. Like, just so colorful. It does not again, just like the Thorny in my cover, this does not look like a horror movie. You don't go into a horror movie section and expect to see this rainbow clad fucking movie. There's there's Roger. There's no zombies. There's no gore. It looks like, I don't know what the hell this looks like, but it's fucking beautiful. Stuka says, I have that VHS, got it at Best Buy in like 6th grade. That was probably around the same grade that I would have been in when I first got it. Robert has on DVD. There you go. I think, yeah, there's multiple versions of that. Amazon has the Dawn anniversary release date as March 22nd, 1999. Okay. So yeah, I would guess that I probably got this, I would say in the year 2000. That would probably be my guess as the year that I got this. So I've had this for damn near 25 years. This exact version too. And it has the reversible cover, which is, I don't remember seeing a whole lot back then, but it has the reversible artwork, and it's got that picture there with, I don't know if you can see that, but it's George, Dario, Mike Gornick, and Rich Rubenstein. And then the behind the scenes shot of them filming the helicopter. If you're fashion minded, watch out. I love that commercial too. It's just so so 70s psychedelic, weird, whatever you want to call it. Since it's theatrical version, always all of George's wonderful music edits. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'll agree with you there. The theatrical version definitely has the better music cues for sure. Bonnie says the second shopping scenes show. Ho! I think we found a tongue twister here. The second shopping scenes show. Say that 5 times fast, everybody. Ready? Here we go. The second shopping scenes show. The second shopping. I can't do it. The second shopping. I'm sorry. It's late. I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun here. The second shopping scenes show how jaded they became. Perfectly put. See, you said that so much better in one sentence than I did in a whole 5-minute diatribe. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate that. Second shopping scene. Yeah, I'm gonna have to practice that one. Zombies says, but the zombie actors have such great character arcs. Oh, shut up. We're not bringing that up. We're not bringing that up. Not doing it. Not doing it. He who shall not be named. We will not do it. Love all the extra cuts, but George was right about his preferred version of the as definitive. Argento's cut out too much humor and character scenes. Yeah, but I mean, I was thinking about this today. I think he mostly did that. I don't think it was because he didn't like it or didn't think it worked. I mostly did that because some of that probably wouldn't translate well to an Italian audience or a European audience, I guess. I'm just my guess. But it's kind of the same thing that we do in America when we take a like a foreign film and kind of edit. I'm trying to think what the example was that I thought of the other day, where we took a film and kind of edited a lot of the dialogue out because it's just a lot less for either to subtitle or to overdub or whatnot. I don't remember. Can't remember what the movie was, but what the hell? You get what I'm saying? Rob saying, dude, that Dawn of the Dead anniversary Anchor Bay is fucking awesome. That's amazing. I fucking love it. I would love a poster of that, actually. I'm sure it's out. There's some out there somewhere. But yeah, the film developing comment. That's one of my favorite comments in the movie. It's like Flyboy's trying to get a rise out of Fran, and Fran's just like, fuck you. That's where Fran's at in the movie. She's just like, at this point, fuck it. I don't even. Great when you're with a rule, drop it off at the drugstore. See, you missed stuff like that. You love it. Yeah, thank you, babe. Thank you, Bonnie. That's a good tongue twister, though. I gotta say. Rob saying, honestly, I actually imagine Land of the Dead continuing where Dawn left off from the mall right into Fiddler's Green. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of similarities there for sure. That's one of my favorite aspects of Land of the Dead. Actually, is the Fiddler's Green, the idea of the Fiddler's Green, and some of the scenes when you just see people like shopping and kind of forgetting the troubles of the outside world, and just barricading themselves into this high-rise tower where they have everything. That's a good point. Robert says, I just got Day of the Dead, where the original version was half. That was on the first disc. The other half's on the second disc. Yeah, I remember that. I think that was Anchor Bay too. Are you talking about the Dawn of the Dead? Where you had the flipper, you had to flip it. Yeah, for sure. All right, we're down to the top 2 on my list. These should be fairly obvious, I think. So we'll go ahead and get into it. Then I'll let you guys go for the night. It's been almost 3 hours. A lot of fun talking about this. We're going down memory lane and reminiscing. And this is one that's been brought up and mentioned quite a bit before in the past, for sure. And that, of course, and I remember vividly getting this one, because this is one that I did not like when I first saw it. But when I got this and really dug into it and really watched it, I fell in love. And this, I probably wore this this specific release. I've worn it out. Like I've watched it to fucking death. And that, of course, is the Day of the Dead DiviMax DVD from Anchor Bay. Got this for Christmas. I want to say 2000. When did this release? It would have been the same year this was released. So this is 2003, Christmas of 2003. Got this from my parents. And this was, like I said, right around when we first, I think this is the first, actually, now I'm thinking about it, this is the first DVD player that I had that I could put in my room. Like, we had a family DVD player, but that Christmas I got my first DVD player. So I remember they got me this DVD to go with it. And I remember hooking up the DVD player, and I was excited. I was still waiting at this point for a Dawn of the Dead DVD release, because I know the Anchor Bay Dawn releases had already come out, but they were already pretty hard to find at that point. They'd kind of gone out of print. Didn't see them too often. So I was still waiting for because I knew that Anchor Bay was doing a new Dawn release. Still waiting for that, but I know that this came out before Dawn of the Dead release, which we may talk about in a second. So I was like, okay, sweet. I got Day of the Dead. I mean, this is one of the best cover arts. You got the bub, the flap that opens up. You got Dr. Frankenstein, Dr. Logan. You got Dr. Tongue there. Both of your resident doctors. And you can tell that this has been worn the fuck out, because this one's broke, so this disc will fall out at any point in time. And then you have just this little, Dr. Logan's notepad with the liner notes and stuff in it. Cool fucking packaging. This is another one that Felsher worked on, and he's talked about before and kind of coming up with the concept for. But I remember getting that DVD player hooked up in my room, putting this in, and watching it on Christmas morning. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that nice? Watching it on Christmas morning, and I just loved it. Like, I was like, this is awesome. Then I watched the documentary. There's been 2 making of documentaries. There's one that's featured on this, and then there's one featured on, let me pull it down since it's in arm's reach, the Scream Factory release. It's called World's End: The Legacy of Day of the Dead. But the original documentary that was on this one What the hell was it called? It was like the mini days. Yeah, the mini days of Day of the Dead. Watched that, fell in love with it. One of my favorite. Of course, it has the commentary. I think I spent most of a Christmas morning watching this DVD, and of course, it has the commentary track with Laurie Cardill, George Romero, Perry Martin, if I'm not mistaken, is on this as well, who is also part of the Dawn commentary. No, Cletus Anderson and Tom Savini. Perry Martin's not on this one. But the cooler one, I mean, not cooler, but the more interesting one to me at the time, because I was just like, what? But they actually had a commentary track with Roger Avery, who was one of the writers of Pulp Fiction. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because I was a Pulp Fiction fan too. I was a Tarantino fan. So I was like, I got to check this out. So I listened to that commentary. And that's kind of the commentary that really sold me on the brilliance of Day of the Dead. I was like, holy shit, like this guy loves this movie to this extent. What am I missing? So I kind of listened to him here, watched the documentaries, listened to the commentary track with George and Laurie and Cletus Anderson and Tom, and really go through. I mean, this thing's chocked with features. I mean, you got the commentary tracks, the documentary. Of course, it's got the behind the scenes 31 minutes of production footage and special makeup effects. Tom Savini, audio interview with Richard Liberty, which is pretty cool. Yeah, just all kinds of stuff on this thing. So I dug in to this DVD for weeks and weeks and months and months and months after the fact, to the point where I fell in love with Day of the Dead. Like, I love Day of the Dead to death now. But like I said, before this, I wasn't the biggest fan. I didn't get it. Like, I rented it a few times, I tried it a few times, and I'd watch it and I'd get to the end and I'd say, it's great gore, but it's just not Dawn of the Dead. But then when I got this, changed my outlook completely on Day of the Dead, 100%. And I think that's kind of the beauty of having DVD, Blu-ray, all this. And now looking at it now, especially now that I'm watching a lot of these movies and stuff with my daughter, one thing that I try to do, if it can keep her attention long enough, I try to show her some of these behind the scenes featurettes, these making of documentaries, stuff like that, just to let her watch, just to kind of get an idea, just to show her, like, this is make believe, this is how it's made, this is how it's done, which is something that we didn't have the luxury of when we were growing up. We just had the movie, we had to watch the movie and take it for what it is. So it's kind of cool to show her, like, oh, this is an effect, this is a puppet, and she's just like, oh, okay, and she kind of grasps it. Um, So being young and only ever having, VHS tapes and just the movie itself to watch, it was so cool when DVD came out and you had all these features. And like I said, I know there was Laserdisc and this predated DVD, but for me growing up, DVD was just a whole new fucking world. And my DVD collection to this day, I mean, it's not what it used to be. I've gotten rid of a lot of them, but I used to have just tons and tons of DVDs, just because I had to discover more about these films. Like, if it was just, and I find myself doing that less and less now, the older I get. But back then, especially, like, if there was something new that came out and it had to have some bonus features, I'd watch every single one of them. I'd listen to the commentary track, I'd listen to behind the scene, or I'd watch the behind the scenes or the featurette or whatever. And yeah, I just, this is just one of the most perfect. This is one of the absolutely the best Anchor Bay releases in general, period. So yeah, number 2 on my list, DiviMax Anchor Bay release of Day of the Dead on DVD. What are you guys thinking? I'm sure this is a popular one. I think a lot of people really like that version. And still to this day, I mean, there's an argument to me. Yeah, there's some issues with it, like some of the audio issues, some of the dubbing. For some reason, I noticed this even when I first got it, like when I first watched it. Realized that some of the, like, they were using some of the, like, overdubbed, like, made for TV overdubbing, where they're talking when they're walking, they fly in, and and John says, shit, I could do this, I could do that even if all of this wasn't going on. Instead, and even in the DVD version, and Felcher's talked about this and why it happened, and he hates it to this day. Still says right instead of shit, and he says right. I could do that, yeah. Anyway, um, let me catch up with your chat here. Robert saying yes, yes, yes. Spent top dollar for that one, and it's beautiful. Absolutely. Chica says, "Hey, I got that Day DVD too. Dog, the little book that came with it. Oh, that's a bummer. But see, look, this thing is so 2003. This thing's 21, almost 22 years old. Still in good shape. And when I first got it, I was thinking, like, especially this little flap. I was like, man, this is gonna tear off or something eventually. It's gonna stop closing. The Velcro is gonna stop working. But this thing is this. I mean, other than the chipped, disc spot or whatever, as you can see, the disc just falls out uh, automatically as soon as you open it. But yeah, I mean, it's good. It's good quality shit. Get in there, and the disc falls out again. Hang on a second. There we go. Hey, what's up, Dirk? Subjective Perspective Collective. What's happening? Did you say Dawn of the Dead? Jake. Oh, we're gonna talk. I still got a little Dawn of the Dead. We've talked about Dawn of the Dead quite a bit tonight, but we're gonna talk about a little more. But good to see you, man. I checked out some of that stream earlier. Listening to you guys talk about Peeping Tom, which is one of my favorite horror movies. Very underrated, very ahead of its time. Yeah, big Peeping Tom fan for sure. But glad you could stop in, man. I appreciate it. Brett saying that Anchor Bay Day of the Dead DVD still has features found nowhere else. That's true, and its packaging is awesome. I'll always keep mine. Yeah, I mean, again, there's an argument to be made that this DVD is still the definitive version of Day of the Dead to own. And yeah, I mean, like, the Scream Factory version's good. It's got a lot of features. It's a good transfer. It looks good and everything. But yeah, just I mean, you can't, just the cover art alone is just fucking hard to beat. Like, that's just too cool. Since as I remember finding this at a random local DVD/computer superstore, was nice to see it again. Some good extras, absolutely. Galen or Lori? In terms of acting ability, in terms of looks, I mean, acting ability, I would go with Lori. I think even Galen would agree with that. Galen is far more of an accomplished and talented filmmaker. Right, she's a documentary filmmaker now, and she won some awards and a lot of accolades and stuff like that. So I think in terms of acting, I think even Galen would agree that Laurie's the better actor. Avery and Tarantino have a great podcast, but not updated in a while. Yeah, I've checked out that podcast quite a bit. It's a good podcast, but yeah, it's sporadic. I mean, it kind of has to be when you're Tarantino. I mean, I'm sure Avery has a little more free time than Tarantino does, but it's a good podcast. Enjoy it. Let's see. Such a fantastic DVD design. I was pleasantly surprised they would spend that much money on the release. Roger Avery commentary being a fantastic addition. Great time and as well. Yeah, I wish that we would get more stuff like that. Get other filmmakers to do commentary tracks on movies. I think that's a great idea. I don't know why they don't do that more often. Which I know that there are certain releases that do that, but yeah, I don't know. I'd love to see more of that. Since I missed the script matching DVDs, perfect for film nerds like me. Not seen one in a while. Script matching DVDs. I don't know. I'm not picking up. What's that? It's late. It's past midnight. it's past 1 o'clock on the East Coast right now. So, Rob says I want Dr. Frankenstein's notebook from Day. That's amazing. Yeah, man. I mean, you can find these cheap now. I mean, you can get them $5. I've seen them at my local Mega Replay store for $3.99. So I bought it, but I do that. Since his best audio TV version ever was Al Pacino and Scarface, stick your head up your toilet. Now there's some good ones. I've seen Day of the Dead on Sci-Fi a few times, and there's definitely some good ones. Rob says they said Day was supposed to be almost 3 hours long and a budget of $9 million, but the studio cut George to $5 million. They didn't even get that. He got 3 million to actually do it. He asked for 7 million, but Hassanan, who was the distributor of Dawn of the Dead, put up the money for Night Riders, Creepshow, and Day of the Dead. George wanted 7 million for this big budget, bigger story for Day of the Dead. But Hassanin wouldn't give it to him unless he promised him that it would be an R rating, and Romero refused. He was like, "No, it's got to be unrated because it's going to be pretty extreme in terms of the gore and stuff." So they, and for I know a lot of people talk about that, unmade day script. Now they wish it could have been made, and yeah, it would have been nice to see. But I think the version we got is actually pretty goddamn good horror movie, and I think people still to this day are kind of discovering it and appreciating more and more. Yeah, Galen and Madman. Galen Ross wasn't in Madman. No, check those credits, sir. Not in Madman. Dirk, I appreciate checking it out, man. I really dig Peeping Tom as well. My first watch about a week. Oh, okay. Yeah, I saw it. I think they played it. Where did I first see it? I think I first saw it on IFC many years ago. But it was one that I always heard about because it was Michael Powell and kind of the movie that ended his career because it was too controversial at the time. We're talking about 1960. It was the same year that Psycho came out, and it was more controversial than Psycho to the point where like no, they wouldn't let him fucking make another movie after that. Where they were just like, this is too fucked up. Which looking back on it now, I mean, it seems kind of tame, but I mean, it's still a movie about really ahead of its time. But it kind of sucks that it kind of ended Michael Powell's career. And of course, Michael Powell and Powell and Pressburger made Tales of Hoffman, which was George's big inspirational film that inspired him to want to make movies when he grew up, when he saw it as a kid. So just to bring it all back around to Romero, that's what I'm here for, folks. 6 degrees of George Romero. Dark loves Madman. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Madman fan. I own it. I have the 4. I have the 4K. It's fine. It's a fun, fun little slasher, but it was just weird because I didn't even realize it was Galen the first time I saw it. Like the first time I saw her in it, didn't click to me at all that was her. It's just a completely different type of role than what she plays in Dawn. Okay, script matching allows you to jump through the movies using. Oh, okay, script and script. Okay, cool. I don't know if I ever even took advantage. Check that out. That's pretty cool. But now that Dirk's here, let's get to our number one. My number one personal favorite, Romero physical media release, and it's Dirk's favorite too. We know it. We all know it. So I'd been waiting for this release for a long time, since the first time I got a DVD player. And so the story goes, it was spring break 2004. Spring break 2004, I was on a church trip. So this is when I was dating a church girl. And we went on a church trip to Florida. And we went to a Walmart in Florida, and I had no idea that this was coming out because this was still early internet. Like we didn't know everything about everything like we do now. I was in a Walmart. We're just walking around. Church trip to beach in Florida, whatnot. And as we're there, I'm looking in the DVD section. And I see this. Special edition DiviMax Dawn of the Dead. I freak the fuck out. I say, holy shit, I gotta have it. So I buy it right there. So then, like, I'm still stuck in Florida with no DVD player for the next 3 or 4 days. I'm on the beach. It's nice. It's Florida. Vacation. I'm sitting there for the next 3 or 4 fucking days. Like, I'm ready to go home because I need to watch this. Because this was the first time that we got the audio commentary track with George, Tom, Chris, and Perry Martin. Chris Romero and Perry Martin. And I needed to listen to that. I had to listen to that. Desperately needed to listen to that. So finally, we leave Florida, go home, watch it, and I wore this son of a bitch out. Like I wore this fucking DVD the fuck out. And then I hear Put that to the side. Then I hear that there is an Ultimate Edition box set of Dawn of the Dead coming out. And number one on my list, still to this day, this has not been beat. I love the Second Sight box set. It's superior in a lot of ways, but I guess in terms of just like sentimentality or whatever it is, this is still the version of Dawn of the Dead to me. When I first saw that, I mean, look, first and foremost, look at the cover, and you can tell that this is the version that I first got for my birthday, 2004, October 27th. My parents took me to Walmart. I think, what was the release date? Anybody want to look this up for me, or I can look it up? But what was the official release date of this Ultimate Edition for Dawn of the Dead? It may have been the day of my birthday that this came out, if I remember. But it was right around that time, October. Parents took me to Walmart. There it was. It was in the glass case, the locked glass case where they put all the big money items. There it was. It had the fucking tag on it to make sure that it doesn't get stolen. The whole thing. It was like I felt like Indiana Jones, and the first time he sees the Holy Grail or something. Just like, there it is. I got it. I took it home, and this was the first time that I'd ever seen the Argento cut, the European cut. This was my first time. This was the first thing I did when I got home, is I put it in and I watched that Argento cut, because that's the version that I was dying to see forever. It just because anytime you get to see new footage of a movie, or a movie cut a different way, or new music, if it's your favorite movie of all time, like it's like, you're you're in heaven. But you can see, I mean, this fucker, I've worn it out over the years. I mean, it's in rough shape. I'd love to get like a new, sealed version, maybe at some point, just to have a good, clean version of it. But just looking at the art, I mean, it's just simple. It looks like a classy. I mean, it's simple, but it's so effective. Just, it's almost like None More Black, the Spinal Tap album, Sniff the Glove or whatever. Of course, it's got, it's such a simple design, but it works so well. And I'm glad they went with this. It's got, the shiny red and the black. And originally, I know that Felsher's talked about this in the past, because he worked on this. He's the one that kind of got the group commentary with the main four together. Which we'll talk about, but he's talked about some of the other concepts for the artwork that he wanted to do for this box set, and it just, for one reason or another, it wouldn't work. I think at one point they wanted to do something similar to this, but they wanted it to be like crushed velvet or something like that. They wanted it, because this was during a time period where Anchor Bay was doing all kinds of crazy ass shit with their releases. And you had the what was it, the Wicker Man release with, like, actual wooden box. You had, the Necronomicon, the Evil Dead release that actually was like the book, the Book of the Dead. They were doing some great. I mean, Anchor Bay still to this day is still my all-time favorite. A boutique label or release company, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a boutique label back then; it was just a label. It was a company. But one thing to another, they were not able to get the designs or whatnot they wanted, and they just settled. They were just like, it was just this plain black case with just simple lettering, simple. And I'm so glad they did, because I mean, this is just fucking perfect. You open it up, you got your main, you got your characters there. There's the zombie, and then, like I said, this thing's falling apart. Discs falling out of this sucker too. Jesus Christ, I'm knocking everything over here. You got your 4 disc. You got the US theatrical version, the extended version, the European version, then all the documentaries. So on top of dying to see that European cut, I'd seen Documented Dead. They'd played that on IFC. I had that recorded on VHS tape. So it had Documented the Dead on here. I'm glad I was able to get it on DVD. But it also had a brand new documentary, a full-length documentary called The Dead Walk, that I've probably watched, I would say, roughly 50 times. I'd always say, the menu screen for that documentaries disc had the Goblin music that would go doop 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 boom 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 doop 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 doop, and it would just play that on a fucking loop. So every night, like when I would go to bed, I've always been the kind that like when I go to bed, I like to watch something when I go to bed and fall asleep to watch something. So when I was living with my parents in my bedroom was like right across the hall from my parents' room. In my bedroom, like at night as I was go to bed, I'd put in that documentaries disc and I'd either watch Document of the Dead or I'd watch, The Dead Walk. Just something, I just love learning about this stuff and listening about, listening to people talk about it. And so, like, at night after I'd fall asleep and it would just play that fucking menu screen over and over and over again, and my parents would get up in the morning to go to work at, like, 5 o'clock in the morning, and all they hear coming from my room blasting full blast is just boom, 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 just over and over and over again. It's fucking they still to this day will bring that up. It's like, "Oh, that fucking music," and it's like, "Yeah, sorry about that." Um, so yeah, you had those documentaries on there. You had the mall tour from like the early 2000s with Ken Foray and Clayton Hill, Nicotero, I think was on that tour. I mean, all kinds of people. Um, got your booklet here. Whoop. Got a map of the mall there with some different artwork. So yeah, so basically the theatrical version was basically the DiviMax DVD. So I was familiar with that, so I didn't go too far into that one. The extended version though, which is the Cannes cut or the director's cut or the extended version, whatever you want to call it, had a commentary track with Richard Rubenstein. Solo commentary track, which is still to this day one of the most interesting commentary tracks out there. To me, like I love that commentary track. Just listening to Richard talk about the business side of Dawn of the Dead, getting Dawn of the Dead made. Um, I eat that shit up. So I had to listen to that. Of course, it has some the Monroeville Mall commercial. So basically, the extended version had everything on the Anchor Bay anniversary edition, but it had that commentary as well. But of course, the main forecast: Dave Emge, Ken Foray, Scott Ryan, Galen Ross. The commentary track on the European version. It's one of the most fun commentary tracks you'll ever fucking hear. Um, so much on this, and it's just the on-set home movies with audio commentary with Robert Langer, who's the brother of Ralph Langer, who would go on. Ralph Langer would actually go on and do a commentary track over the same home video or 8mm home videos for the Second Sight box set. So, but yeah, it was just perfect, and of course, it came with like a little miniature copy of the first comic book, the Dawn of the Dead comic book, which I thought was just cool as shit when I was younger. And they had a comic book coming out with Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, I was just this is just not. It's going to be hard to beat them just from a sentimental aspect of where I was in my life. I remember everything about buying it. I remember everything about first popping it in and watching it, getting like going home, throwing it in and watching that European cut for the first time and just being like, this is fucked up. Like, what is going on here? What is this music? But it was cool because I was familiar with the soundtrack. I was familiar with the score. I had the soundtrack. But I remember hearing all that music there, and it's like, other than like 3 tracks, it's like none of this shit is in the movie. But then you watch the European version, it's all in the movie, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. It works in places, and in other places it doesn't. But Ultimate Edition box set from Anchor Bay, my number one favorite Romero physical media release. What do you guys think? What do you think? To me, you can't beat it. You just can't. Like, yeah, even to the transfers of this day even on the DVDs. I mean, it's a 20-year-old box set, but even the transfer, I mean, they still look good even for DVDs. Still looks fantastic. So, so let's see. Stick us. Did I see Stukas? No, maybe not. So that saying the Dawn Ultimate Edition is great. I was so happy to find it again at random. Second Sight is also super cool. Yeah, Second Sight in terms of quality, in terms of the picture quality and all that. I mean, yeah, it's hard to beat, and it's still. I mean, it's up there, right next to the Ultimate Edition. But I give the edge to this Ultimate Edition, just out of the sentiment of it, and just the fact that I have worn every single disc fuck out in this thing. I'm saying I'm happy to own that. It's great. Yeah, I mean it's the whole trail if you're a Romero fan for sure. Uh, Conan Light, Angel Sings. There you go. It is it. First time I saw Ultimate Edition was Kmart, and I was broke as a joke, says Mayor. Yeah. 2004. Yeah, 2004. It would have been October 2004. Some point in October when this came out. I got it on my birthday, which would have been the 27th, but I'm thinking it may have come out maybe I don't know, a few days before that. But I remember when it came, I remember it was like $50 or something like that, which at the time was outrageous for any DVD or anything. It was just like, Jesus Christ, $50. Wow. Now that's just like, a standard Vinegar Syndrome title at this point. Harper says, I have this, spent a lot of money on it for sure. There we go. Smell the glove, tapping. Yeah, it's like none more black. It's like so black that you can. It's almost like a mirror. You can see yourself in it. It's nice. Mayor says, I'm sure the Dirk would call it Yawn of the Dead Ultimate Edition. Yeah. Poor Dirk. Yeah, it's not his fault. It's not his fault. One day he'll watch it and he'll get it. He'll get it. I'm watching. Rob saying Maniac or Maniac Cop? Maniac for me, for sure. Maniac's my all-time favorite slasher film. Probably like top 10, easy, top 10 favorite horror movie of all time. Trader Music Entertainment. I worked at a production plant that made the Dawn. Oh, Ultimate Dawn set. Okay. As well as the Dawn remake DVD. I got to watch the documentary during lunch break, so I saw it once before it went. Awesome, man. That's fucking awesome. I was super fucking jealous of you at that point. Yeah, very classy. It really is. I mean, it does make it seem like this is Citizen Kane or something like that, like it's the Citizen Kane of horror films. Very classy and simple. Rob, he picks Don over his own woman, my kind of man. There you go. I mean, I'm a beat guy anyway. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm pretty fucking white. I'm very European, like Northern European. I'm Welsh and all that shit. Yeah, I'm not a beach guy. So on DVD, I was like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go home. Watch this. I got things to do. Fuck the ocean. Dirk says, yeah, but I get it. If it was a crazy release of The Shining, I'd be the same way. Yeah, that would be. I still need to. I still haven't seen The Shining on 4K. I still need to get that fucking 4K. Sticka says the Family Guy DVD menu screens were horrible to wake up to. I don't remember. I've never been a huge Family Guy fan, just personally, but just me. Crazy kid and his music on goofballs. No, I wasn't even doing shit back then. I'm sure they were thinking something. It was just like, how did they fall asleep to this repetitive ass fucking noise? It's not even music. It's just. Dirk says, was tempted on buying that $1,500 Shining book. I just couldn't, and my wife would have killed my dead body a few times. Yeah, that's pretty steep. I don't think I could spend $1,500 on anything that's not a car, Oh man. Oh shit! I lost my place. Talking about were we here, Dirk? I believe Dirk. I believe that there was another book for less. Not sure the exact amount though. I'm not too sure. 1911 Guitar. Back in my life revolved around the countdown, waiting for that Dawn Limit DVD release. I mean, so much started from that. I mean, we had Uncle Bill on a couple weeks ago. He was talking about how, Dead Pit started right around the time because they went to Horrified in Baltimore, and that was the convention where they were really pushing and promoting this Ultimate Edition. That's Larry. Larry's talking about that same convention, like because this kind of sparked everything. I mean, all the Dawn reunions at the conventions and all that. I mean, it's all started kind of right around when this first came out. But yeah, I remember just could not wait to get my hands on that sucker. It was still at $50, and so yeah, I mean, yeah, even then, $50 wasn't bad, but for me, it was like I was saying earlier, $20 was kind of like, hey, I don't know, that's quite a bit of money. 50, I mean, that was a big birthday present for me back then. So. But it was still to this day probably one of the best birthday presents I ever got. So there it is, folks. My top 10 Romero physical media releases. 3.5 hours tonight, guys. Whew. Took a while to get through, but it's been fun kind of going back, talking about all these and going back and revisiting a lot of these old DVD releases and stuff that don't get talked about a lot. Talk about a lot of the newer releases, and a lot of the 4Ks and all the, fancy shit that we get now. But man, when it all started, like, especially when DVD first came on the scene, and we really accessed all the commentaries and documentaries and all that good stuff. Like, that was a real game changer for me. Like, I was at that right age, in my youth, where I wanted to be a filmmaker, wanted to do, wanted to do what George did. That was my guy. I needed to learn from the man himself. And it gave me that opportunity, and I think a lot of people learned a lot listening to commentaries and stuff like that. So going back, like, thinking back on, like, where I was in my life when I first watched this, what I got from it, it's pretty, I don't know. It was a lot of fun. I like doing these streams. Kind of, what was a lot of the top 10 non-Romero zombie films. It was kind of nice to go back and revisit a lot of those that I hadn't watched in a long time. And to kind of figure out where I would place them in my top 10. But see, Rob saying, actually love your top 10. Might be very similar. Yeah, like I said, these are just personal favorites. Like I said, I did it if a film by film definitive release stream a few months back to kind of let you know, like, what I think are the best for, like, if you were to own one version of this movie, this is the one that would just be the most complete, best looking version. But for me, personal biases, these are my top 10. So, is what it is. Stigga saying next week, top 10 least favorite releases. That's actually not a bad idea. That's actually kind of a fun idea, actually. So, that I might steal your idea and do that, honestly. Since I still need to watch Zombie Pest. Yeah, you do. Zombie 90 Extreme Pestilence. It's available on YouTube, actually, if you look it up. So, catch next couple of comments here that I'm gonna hop off here. I don't have to pee, believe it or not. I don't know what the hell's wrong. I've had a cup of coffee and a glass of scotch, so I have no urge to piss. So I don't know what's going on here. VHS to DVD was mind-blowing, exciting, and even Blu-ray to 4K can't match the same thing. Yeah, I touched on that earlier in the stream, just talking about what it was like going from VHS to DVD, and the first time you pop in a DVD, like, it just seemed like, holy shit, like, this is the future. But now you look back and you pop in some old DVDs, and you're like, man, this looks like garbage. But I don't know. It was a big deal for me, especially at that age in my life. Being able to, listen to commentaries and discover more about these movies that I loved but knew nothing about. Because let me tell you, like, when I first saw Dawn of the Dead, like, when I going back to the Thorny MI VHS, like, renting that and seeing it on IFC, like, that's all I had. Like I didn't know anything about these movies. I didn't know anything about these actors. Like to me, in my mind at that age, I thought these actors were just random people that were probably like living on a farm in Indiana somewhere. You know, like that's because I was like, these aren't movie stars. These aren't actors. These aren't real actors. They're not in other things. Like this is just like, but I had no idea. So when I finally had access to like commentaries, documentaries, and all that stuff, like, and then you actually got to know like, stories and how things got made and how things, it was just like, I don't know, just opened up a whole new world for sure. Uh, yeah, I do think that would be fun, like a top 10 least favorite releases. I might do that. I swear to fucking God, I'll do it. I don't care. Um, Robert, I love you too, brother. Thank you for hanging out, and thank you to all you guys for hanging out here tonight. It's been a really fun chat, really fun stream. Even 3.5 hours long. Still going strong, baby. It's creeping up on a 1 a.m. here. So, uh, you too, brother. 19 Limit Guitar Dude. Have a great night, everyone. Time for bed on the East Coast. Thanks for a great live stream. Absolutely, man. I appreciate you hopping in as always. Dietary food. Oh, yeah. I don't know. Maybe. Um, since I was happy when I was so happy when I got that Thorny in my poster around 1986 or so. It was cheap. Yeah, you got it for a steal, man. Try to get it now. Fuck it. Dirk, thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate seeing you as always. Bonnie Bailey, as always, good to see you as well. Enjoyed this. Have a great night. I hope you have a great night as well. I don't know where you're located. I don't know if you're on the East Coast, West Coast, where you're at. I don't know how late it is for some of you guys, but it's late as fuck for me. So Rob, I'll have to watch Maniac. Never seen it. Absolutely, check out Maniac. It's a Savini. To me, it's like Savini's next step from like Friday the 13th into like being the master of gore. I mean, there's just such good fucking effects in Maniac for sure. Definitely highly recommend. Seth, thanks as always, brother. Good to see you. I'll get you back on here soon, for sure. Diary of the Dead. Oh, so what are you talking about? I was like dietary food. I was like, I don't know what that means, but Diary of the Dead. Okay. Rob, have a great night, man. Good to see you as always. ED Trader Music and Entertainment, thank you, sir or lady. Not too sure. We'll find out. But thank you for stopping in. Have a good night, sir. Mayor, as always. Have a good one, my man. Chicago. Okay, Bunny. We're not too far from each other. I'm down here in southern Indiana, so it's a little bit of a drive. So it's about 12:30 for you as well. So Sean, as always, good to see you. There we go, sir. All right. I like to be. I don't like to presume or what do they say? Assume anyone's pronouns. But yeah, thanks everybody. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight. It's been fun. I'll be back next weekend. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, everybody have a great rest of the night, great rest of the week. Make sure to like the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell. If you like wearing t-shirts, go check out shop.alpharomero.store. Help a brother out. But until next week, have a great rest of the night, great rest of the week, and as always, stay scared.